Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Popcorn. You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
So if you guys are interested, Samantha Dragonati, link in the chat in the description. I had to pause that. All right. Hello, everyone. We're here. We did it. Oh, coming off the back of 40 episodes of Frenemies, ready to talk about other people's lives. Today, I want to talk about Denisha Carter, who we've actually covered before on stream. And I think we all kind of wrote her off as fresh and fit for girls, which there is a whole category of content creators that fall into this. And much like fresh and fit, there's some DMs that have been leaked. Now, this is all alleged since Denisha herself refuses to comment on it and is deleting anyone who talks about it or blocking them. And usually, Denisha Carter is blocked on my TikTok, but I had to unblock her in order to have this conversation with you. With peace and love, I just don't understand her content. It's very, I'm trying to stand up for women, but it feels very performative and it doesn't feel intersectional, which I don't think it is. I think she falls into the very specific, like I said, like fresh and fit for girls. So this is her. You guys have probably seen her. She's very beautiful. She's kind of known for wearing blue contacts, though she swears they're not contacts. I think it's been kind of debunked by the internet that it is contacts, but who knows? I mean, does it really matter? It might matter because Denisha Carter in the past has been known to side with more conservative leaning talking points and has done deals with companies like Walmart. Also, though very big on TikTok, is pretty small on every other platform. Denisha also does this thing where she appears to be very wealthy. We'll sometimes go to restaurants where it looks like it's Michelin star, but then there's a theory that all of her money is actually not real and it comes from a man, which we'll talk about today. So again, she kind of built this platform on being like kind of for women, but also might be funded by a man. Denisha's also really young. She's like 27, 28, depending on who, where on the internet you find information about her. Depending on where I looked on the internet, it said that she was born in Egypt. And then it's like, I don't know anything about this person. And I think that's also part of the branding is that Denisha kind of is what you want to make her. So some people love her, some people hate her. Here's an example of the kind of content she does, just so we have an idea. And the conversation that I want to have around this today, of course, is for our benefit, learn more about ourselves and to center ourselves, especially when consuming content creators. I know I'm a content creator, but my content's obviously so different in a sense because one, I'm a streamer, so you see me every day. And two, Denisha's brand is very well curated. So you don't know anything about her versus, I'm the meme on the internet with Sid the Sloth where, I'm like trying to remain mysterious, but this is also my personality where I tell you everything. So there's really nothing interesting or mysterious about my life. But with hers, the reason this recent controversy is so interesting is because she did the thing that nobody thought, in quotations, that she would do, allegedly, based off her victim that has come forward. And yes, she has a victim. Like, this is very interesting if it's true. And again, we're going to take the victim's word for it. We're going to trust his perspective on what happened to him. He has DMs. The DMs also come from Denisha's ex-best friend that wanted to turn on her and showed how Denisha behind the scenes was manipulating this man. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty awful. But maybe something will come out. Maybe she'll have receipts. Maybe she'll actually prove herself innocent. But as of right now, that's not happening. So just so we get a taste of Denisha and her work, check this out. So this is what she does. She stitches a lot of content, right? So here's somebody she's stitching.
I Googled myself. I ended up on a Reddit forum of people just discussing me. If you're a content creator,
Volume's kind of low.
Public eye. Wow, don't do that.
I'm gonna sound stern here because for all of your benefits, I want you to change the behavior. If you are a content creator or a public figure, you need to know your place. It is not your place to be in the dregs of Reddit reading hate threads about yourself. Your place is on the stage. Get on the stage. Why are y'all, the talent, outside right now, mingling with the hecklers? get on the stage. Not only is it terrible to subject yourself to other people's unnecessary opinions, especially ones with a high likelihood of being incredibly toxic and negative, thus making it incredibly difficult not only to do your job, but potentially to even function, but it's also not your business what these people are saying about you. They are in their place. They are playing their correct role. That is what the audience and hecklers and miserable people do. They chat about who is on the stage. You talented little thing, need to get on the stage and stay on the stage. Like an artist whose job it is to create art and simply put it out instead of worrying about everyone's reception or perception of it. And I know you're all going to do the thing where you say, I can't help it. No, you can. The amount of creators who have found their way into my DMs over the years begging me for advice about how to handle immense internet backlash or mistreatment, likely because they've seen me deal with it and then clock back in the next day like nothing happened, would shock you. And I'm telling you all the same thing I tell them. The trick is very simple. Knowing whose opinions matter, whose opinions are worth subjecting yourself to. Shit, knowing who has the grounds to even give you an opinion about yourself. I haven't looked at a single Reddit thread about myself. I don't care what those people have to say. Whenever I'm Googling myself, I don't even click it. Except I did see this one as a preview years ago and kept it because it was funny. Digressing. My place is not
It said like she's a real human because everyone thinks she's AI.
to mingle amongst folk who have nothing to do all day besides say vile things about strangers who are actually out and succeeding in life, benefiting society. My place is on the stage while they are pissed as fuck at home. And so was yours. And to be clear, this is not me attempting to dismiss anyone's feelings or tell anyone they aren't allowed to respond to horrible things said about them. If you want to get online and tell these Reddit freaks to go fuck themselves on a daily basis, be my guest. I think more people should be told that, quite frankly. And I'm certainly not saying that the horrible things people say about others online are okay or should go unaddressed. Quite the opposite. My point is that you do not deserve to get online in tears, feeling like you have to justify what you look like to people who don't even deserve for you to tell them what time of day it is. It is the community you've built. It is the audience members who have bought tickets and are sitting quietly in their assigned seats who deserve your attention. Pay those other folk dust.
Okay, now okay. That's like an example of the TikToks, okay? And she has 1.9 million followers on TikTok. So she's, big creator on TikTok. And this is important. So this is Denisha's TikTok. Okay, I usually keep this one blocked, as one should, okay? But then if we go over to, did I block it or did I just mess up? Anyways, I'll block that later if I messed up. Here is the Instagram, and the Instagram is much different. The Instagram's like 183,000. Pretty good. Great following. The TikTok is confusing. I don't know what Denisha does, but Denisha has like here, Forbes, Walmart creators. Okay, so like doing something, definitely successful. But why does she give people the creeps? Why do people think she's AI? Why don't people think she's real? And I think it's just because she's a manufactured influencer. I don't think she's real, but I think she's real. Right? So Denisha's been accused of colorism, racism, like internalized racism, issues with the fact that she like has her contacts and has this very specific appearance, the fact that she tries to appear more affluent than maybe she is, the fact that her money might be actually coming from a man, the fact that she like, XYZ, that she has a lot of backlash, but yet nobody can get anything on her because I feel like she's sort of like in the wind. She's not like, there's so many content creators on YouTube, them, their like essence. And so I want us to be, as consumers, just more aware of why we might find ourselves less inclined to enjoy somebody's content, like Denisha, who comes off just like she gets the AI accusations for a reason, right? Kind of interesting. Now, if you go to her YouTube, okay, not a YouTuber. She is a TikToker, okay? 14,000 subscribers. And the last video she posted was a month ago called "Why Cancel Culture is Not a Successful Thing and Never Will Be." She's somebody who has been associated, like I said, with more conservative leaning content. So she tends to fall into the like fresh and fit for girls, like I said before. But something about Denisha that she kind of built her brand on was being independent, not needy, being a pretty girl, being wealthy, being not desperate. Like she comes off like very confident. But then this happened this weekend, and this is Khalil, and Khalil is an LA artist who met Denisha on the Raya app for like quote celebrities. I don't know if Raya is explicitly just celebrities or people in the industry, but they met on this app. And remember that they're very young people. So Khalil is 25 and Denisha is like 27, 28. I think I'm going to say 27, 28. I don't know. The internet's not giving me a solid number. So either way, they're not even 30. They're like babies, you know, babies with a little bit of a following, right? They're not like huge celebrities, but they've got a nice place on the internet, which I think is, you know, good for them. But he came out with a statement of being victimized by her. And I think we're going to talk about it from a very specific perspective. So I just want to say this. I don't think this is a gendered issue. And I think looking at it from the gendered issue is way too simplistic. I think this is actually more than that. I think it's the kinds of people that you are regardless of gender. And also, I just want to point out, and you'll see it, and I want to say it out loud now. A lot of people are being very homophobic in his comment sections because the man has a little bit of flair to him. And I just want to say homophobia is real and prevalent, and I'm sick of it, but here it is. And he did call it out. He's pro-Palestinian. He's very left. He's progressive, which pay attention to Denisha mocking him for it later. You know, he's one of those very progressive people. And so now, after a month of being harassed by her, he's came with receipts. He's showing up for himself. Let's let him tell his story. But I really don't think this is like men versus women. I think this is bigger than that. I think it's the kind of character that you have, the wholesomeness and goodness of your heart, and your values. Where do your values lie? And I'm not sure Denisha has any. But I found it fascinating the way people were, you know, reacting to it. So again, not our bubbles. I doubt any of these content creators will see my videos. And if they do, I hope they click off because this is for you and me. This is for our benefit to see how do I make sure that I don't fall into this category of Denisha, and to make sure that I pay attention when I'm a Khalil and I'm interacting with people and making sure that I stand up for myself when necessary. So, okay, let's watch him tell his own story. Here we go.
Harassing me for the last month and a half. Let's talk about it. Denisha Carter's been harassing me for the last month and a half. Let's talk about it. Over a month and a half ago, we matched on a dating app and I regretfully hooked up with her. Since then, I realized that she not only lied about her age, but she also lied about being pregnant in an attempt to coerce me and emotionally blackmail me into sleeping with her again. That sounds crazy, but I'll show you all the screenshots. But before I address that, I want to address all these comments that your followers are leaving.
Comments like having affairs, though, you're a cheater, you cheated on your girlfriend. Okay, that's what the comments say. I'm going to pause it and try to read the text because he won't do it. So I'll be pausing to read.
You keep spreading claims that I cheated on my girlfriend with you. Whole time I didn't meet the woman that you're referring to until after we hooked up. So let's not get it twisted. And trust and believe, if I met her first, I would have never fucking spoke to you. Me and Denisha hooked up on the night of January 9th. In the days following that, being a true Angelino, I was volunteering with fire relief efforts. Because I was volunteering, I was not texting back quick enough for Denisha's liking, which led to her being very rude to me through text message. Pause to read. In response,
hold on. He's very fast with these.
Very rude to me through text message. Pause to
Okay, so I feel so Denisha says, "Hey, I feel like I've been bothering you, or I'm more interested in than you are, so I'm gonna pull back. But it was nice to hang out with you." Smiley face. He says, "Hey, my bad. This morning has been all over the place. We are doing mutual aid, but you are not bothering me. LOL." She says, "LOL. See, now I see why you're single at 25, chronic fumbler." Okay, I was like, that's so funny. The text is so small on this screen. Hold on, I got a word here. He said, "Now, why are you being mean, unnecessary? And aren't you single at 27? Okay, so she's 27. She said, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened." Okay, and then smile because it happened. Okay, what? LOL, he says, "I literally don't have an issue." She said, "No, the issue is mine. I know better than to give groupies a chance, LOL. And I wasn't mean to you. I just never took you for the type to get weird after spending time with someone. But like I said, I should have known better." Okay, right? I'm going to press pause.
To read. In response to that, I just explained that I was busy, but she kept berating me, so I just left her on red and stopped responding. She messaged me 2 or 3 days later apologizing for what she
Hey, Denisha says, "Hey, I want to apologize for calling you a groupie. It was OD and very mean." Guys, what's OD? What's OD? Help me, help the boomer. It was OD and very mean. And the comment about chronic fumbling, also OD and also very mean. I am sorry. Someone help me. What's OD mean? Such a what? Unnecessary, over dramatic. Oh, over dramatic. Is that okay? Thank you, chat.
she said, and I still didn't respond. A week or two later, Denisha messaged me
She said, hey, can we talk? It's important. He said, what's up? Okay, question mark.
saying that we need to talk. We spent over 30 minutes on the phone in which Denisha refused to disclose what we needed to talk about. And she said that we could only talk about it in person. Remember that for later. I expressed to her since she was rude, I did not feel comfortable coming over to her house. Especially because she was saying I needed to come over at around 9, 10, 11 p.m. I told her we could meet at a cafe and talk about it. She refused, so we ended up getting off the phone. Later that day, she messages me saying that I need to send her my address so
Hey, Denisha says, please send me an address I can send paperwork to. He said, dude, what? And she said, what is unclear? He said, you asked me to meet up, and I said I don't really want to come over to your place, and you had an issue with that. I asked to meet halfway somewhere at neutral, and you said it freaked you out. Now you're saying you want to send paperwork. Now I have zero idea what your issue is, and you're being difficult.
her attorney could send over paperwork. Remember that for later. Obviously, in response to that, I tell her that we could hop on the phone. Again, we talk for about 30 minutes in which she refuses to disclose what she wants to talk about. And at the end, she tells me that she's pregnant. At that point, I realized that maybe we do need to talk in person. But because our schedules weren't matching up, we ended up just hopping on FaceTime. On that FaceTime, we talked about a lot of things, including her father working in finance and her mother being an Egyptian national who works in counterterrorism programs in America. Mind you, I don't even know if that's true. And by the end of this, you'll realize that it's really hard to believe anything she says. We spoke about what the plan was moving forward because, frankly, I don't want to have a child with anyone right now, especially not her. Mind you, all the times that we've spoken so far, she's made an attempt to try to get me to come over to her house to talk about it in person. Conclusion of that phone call, she said that she needs more time to think about it, and honestly, that's fair. 2 or 3 days later, she messages me saying, actually, I'll have my attorney contact you, please send me your address. At that point, I'm like, hey, have your attorney contact me because you're being very fucking weird. Now, this is where shit gets juicy. I'm actually making this into a part 2, but I'm gonna post it right the fuck now. Denisha.
Okay, right? So, very awkward. And again, this is just his side of the story. We're going to keep watching. We're not done with the story. But remember, like, these people are young, which is kind of insane, but not that young. Like, she's 27. This is about values. And it gets bad, guys. I already watched all these videos and I read the DM. So it gets bad. But what's interesting is, why did we as a community feel weird about her when we reviewed her? Why did we know, or did we just feel like an inauthenticity from her? Why do we feel ourselves gravitating towards certain content creators? Why does she have 1.9 million followers on TikTok? A part of it is pretty privilege, for sure. Another part of it is that people might like her talking points. But what is it about these types of creators who fall into this particular bubble that end up being so mean and cruel and not wholesome? Like, it's so mean. Yeah, mean girl. Too curated, like too placed. Exactly. But also the way she speaks. Yeah. Chat says, is it too misogynistic of me to think that maybe she wants to baby trap him? I don't know. I already know the ending to the story, so I don't know. What do you guys think? You know? I think they slept once together. They hooked up one time together. Her being pregnant would just be like a sign of like, did you guys not talk about birth control? Did you not wear a condom? Like, what are the chances she'd be pregnant? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're there. People do get pregnant. It's just like, were you so irresponsible with birth control that you are pregnant? I think I'd be more concerned that she was so irresponsible. I think that's what I'd be more concerned about than like baby trapping, because they don't know each other like that. Like, why would she want to why would she want to have a baby by some 25-year-old guy she met on Raya? You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of crazy, but I already know how the story goes. So let's keep going so you're on the same page. Here we go.
This is part 2 of how Denisha Carter has been harassing me for over a month and a half. You need to get caught up. The first video was posted right before this. Pretty much Denisha crossed her friend, leading to him outing their entire text message.
This is important. So Denisha betrayed a friend, and the friend was so upset that they finally like kind of confessed to Khalil here what had been going on behind the scenes, right?
And if you want all the receipts.
Oh, chat says so she can stay in the USA. I don't know anything. I'm just guessing. I mean, she doesn't need him to stay in the USA. Right? Like, I think that's the wrong. I think that's the wrong categorization for Denisha. I don't think she's looking for a reason to stay in the US. Plus, Trump already got rid of that, or he wants to. The judge paused it. The Trump wants to get rid of it, but the judge paused it. I think I already know the story, so hold on. Let's watch.
receipts to read yourself, I will link them in a Google Drive in the comment. These messages are in response to her telling
So maybe he can't afford, so this is the conversation I think between the friends, right? Maybe he can't afford an Uber that I might tell and needs her to work. Wait, hold on.
me to come over to her house and me saying that I don't feel comfortable doing so.
Oh, no. This is between him and her. It's so out of place that I'm not getting it. Maybe he can't afford an Uber that I may tell, ? And needs her to think it's work. No, it's irrelevant. Give it 18 hours to build tension. Oh, no. I got you. Hold on.
Her telling me to come over to her house. You want all the
Watch
receipts
this.
to read yourself?
We have to rewind it. Hold on.
I will link them in a Google Drive in the comment. These messages are in response to her telling me to come over to her house and me saying that I don't feel comfortable doing so. Her friend said maybe he can't afford an Uber, and you can read the rest. This is
Okay. So it is between her friend and her.
said maybe he can't afford an Uber.
Okay.
And you can read the rest.
So maybe he can't afford an Uber, hence why Khalil won't come to your house. That I may tell, and needs her to think it's work. No, it's relevant. Give it 18 hours to build tension. So it's irrelevant that he was hooking up with me while he had a girl and got me pregnant, ? And then Usher's confessions is the response. These are my confessions. Okay.
Rest.
Yo, the way I listened to confessions in middle school, it was, however old I was ridiculous. But bro, okay, so
This is where shit gets juicy. Why would Denisha message her friend, but it's very on brand for the WAG trying to trap an athlete, quote unquote, suddenly pregnant, pissed athlete wants proof, I had a miscarriage.
So that's like the baby trap allegation kind of being squashed a bit, but also it's sort of, in line with the thinking. So chatter kind of close to what they might have been thinking, like, a baby trap, but maybe not for a visa, maybe just for like to keep you in your life, maybe, right? Also, that happens all the time. Practice your pregnancy gate. And then, but it is so unbrand. Okay, overthink it. He has nothing you can take, so that narrative isn't relevant. Do you think he knows that? Not being sarcastic? Of course he does.
And her friend tells her to practice her pregnancy gate. Pause to read the rest. First few messages are a bit unimportant, but it's pretty much Denisha and her employer / friend who outed her talking about travel accommodations. But
So I need to see what they fly into. JetBlue is JFK, United is Word, Newark, detail, okay, blah, blah. I don't know how to play this now that I'm not saying I'm pregnant. It comes to 466. Let me do it. Okay, are you able to do it now? Yeah, just sat down. I'm craving Chinese, bro. The way I literally was 2 an hour ago. There's like the most basic text message conversation, but this part right here, I don't know how to play this now that I'm not saying I'm pregnant. So she's literally confessing to her friend, and her friend, once they had a falling out, tells Khalil what's been going on, which is so immoral. It's so unethical. Like it's gross human behavior. It's just gross human behavior to tell someone you're pregnant when you're not pregnant, right? There's no justification for it.
But then if you look right here, I don't know how to play this now that I'm not saying I'm pregnant, laugh my ass off. Or screenshots. Do I actually tell him I'm pregnant, or do I make the reveal that I just want to fuck him? And her friend tells
How gross is that? Do I actually tell him I'm pregnant, or do I make the reveal that I actually just want to fuck him? Basically, Denisha is coming up with a story about how she's pregnant to get him to come over to the house so they can have sex. That's the accusation he's making against her. I mean, that's what the best friend is saying happened. That Denisha was putting together this whole plan just to have sex with this man again. You know what I'm saying? This is so unethical. Like I'm shook.
tells her that, hey, the reveal is good, but don't overplay your hand. Nisha then says, so don't say I'm pregnant, and her friend says to save it. Then she says, okay, he won't hate me for lying to him just to fuck him? And then her friend responds, he's a man, Denisha. Then says,
He's a man, Denisha. I'm going to start saying that.
I'm also a man who hates her again. And then
He's a man, Denisha. That's a crazy thing to say out loud. He's a man, so he won't care that you lied about getting pregnant if he can have sex with you. Bro, that should become that's so outrageous. I'm offended. I'm offended as a man. I'm offended.
Friend responds, he's a man, Denisha. Then says, I'm also a man who hates her and a man who has a mother. She said,
not the mother. I mean, if some bitch is yapping about being pregnant, wouldn't he tell her? Then I'm attacked on all sides. The Compton commies. The Compton commies. No one tells their main bitch that their side bitch is pregnant. It's like you've never listened to Confessions. I haven't. Oop.
Says, laugh my fucking ass off. I mean, if some girl is yapping about being pregnant, wouldn't he tell her? Then I'm attacked from all sides. The Compton commie. Let's just overlook the racial undertones of calling me some kind of Compton commie. The whole time I'm not even from fucking Compton, bro. Her friend says, no one.
So Denisha's been accused of internalized racism and colorism in the past because she has, forgive me, this is the TikTok rumor about Denisha, white girl syndrome and a black body. She has a desire to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this, like, but this is what I've gathered from my research. You know what I mean? Where she's more conservative. So she's like mocking him for being like, you know, flamboyant or communist or whatever she's accusing him of. Like he's pro-Palestine, free Palestine, you know, all of these things. So the way she's basically fresh and fit as a girl, which we know Myron suffers from internalized racism. So not surprised, right? Where like they don't, what do they say? They don't date, forgive me, darkies. Like that's Myron and Fresh and like from Fresh and Fit, right? That's what they said. Denisha, that black women who made response TikToks to this situation said they were very surprised that he was brown. They said they were surprised Khalil was as dark as he was considering her reputation on the internet. So that's kind of like the bubble from my understanding. And I, you know, if somebody has better research, please tell me. But that from my research, that's my understanding of the social dynamic at play.
One tells their main bitch that their side bitch is pregnant, it's like you never listened to confessions. Mind you, there was no main, and Denisha could not be a side if her name was
So, okay, hold on.
onion rings.
That's too funny.
Mind you, there
hold on, that's too funny. So they're referencing that girl that he had been with after Denisha, but wasn't in a relationship with, you know?
was no main, and Denisha could not be a side if her name was onion rings. Her friend tells her that by lying.
Shout out to onion rings. Shout out to onion rings. Okay, emotions are too high, intimacy is too high, you like eyes at the end. So basically the plan is he'll be so horny for you thinking you're pregnant that he'll have great passionate sex with you. And then when you tell him you're not actually pregnant, he doesn't care because he just has to have you. Okay. Do I appear worried / scared, nervous? Yes. Then tell him I went to a doctor and got a blood test for my thyroid and I'm pregnant. What if he doesn't believe it? We pulled out. Sorry, this is so many details. Because, like, I guess they pulled out when they had sex. Doesn't matter. Like, her friend is helping her, which is disgusting, right? This is a known effective method of birth control. Also, I'm sorry, my love, but I'm home now. I got to go to sleep, blah, blah, blah.
To me about being pregnant, I will come over and the emotions will be high. The intimacy will be high. We'll lock eyes and then the end. And then she says, what? Do I appear worried or scared? Nervous? He says, yes. She says, then I tell him that I went to the doctor and got a blood test for my thyroid and I'm pregnant. And if he doesn't believe it, we pulled out. Sorry, this is so many details. And she's fucking right. This is so many details. I'd rather not have to share this shit. But you keep fucking harassing me, so here you go. Now the
It's just so unethical, like truly immoral. Not surprised. I do think people who lean more conservative, I do think people who suffer from that internalized misogyny, racism, all the stuff we all have to fight and deconstruct ourselves. If you haven't deconstructed, you will hurt people, you will hurt your own communities, you will hurt people, right? Kat says she's just using him for sex, which aligns with her not valuing brown people. Kat says, I'm not surprised white people use black men as sexual objects to be disposed of. Like, it's really just sad, right? Like, it's really sad. And it's not that I ever assumed she was this bad of a person, you know? And again, this is his perspective. And I do want to give him the validation of feeling heard because I mean, he's got the receipts. I feel like he's telling the truth. I can't know this. But this is really sad. Like, this is just devastating all around. And again, I think it's so much bigger than like gender or anything else. Because I can hear it right now. The men versus women bubbles are going to be like, this is a woman. See, she's lying. And this is a man. And this is, it's not about any of that. It's about values. It's about the dignity we treat each other with. It's about consent. It's about wholesomeness. It's about goodness. Where's the goodness in this? You know, where's the goodness in the way that she treated this man and the way that she spoke about this man and the way that she spoke about intimacy and text messages with her friends? I feel like that's what it's about. It's just really disappointing, you know? Shout out to his Palestinian flag in the background. I really love that.
We got the screenshots out of the way. Let's dive into the next issue. The reason she kept asking for my address to send over attorney paperwork is because she was trying to fucking dox me. Her friend exposed her for trying to fucking dox me in the same Discord server where she's telling everyone that I'm a fucking cheater. The same Discord server where she got another man doxed a few years ago for saying she's like fucking catfish. Now let's really talk about it. Denisha is poor. There's nothing wrong.
This is the part that was like, this is interesting. This, because Denisha's brand is rich girl, pretty girl, better than you girl. You are the peasant. She is the queen, which is also why I blocked her. Very condescending. This is the tea.
Wrong with being poor. He
Of
puts
course.
on this facade of being some kind of rich upper class girl, and that's not true. Told me she had 2 houses in Los Angeles, but really, one of the houses belongs to the person who outed her. He pays her $2,000 a month to manage the company's social media just to keep her afloat. And the other house is just a roommate situation with a girl who she continuously talks shit about. And her TikTok's not even monetized. You're literally just being a capitalist shill for free. And if you need more proof, I've got roommates who could corroborate the entire story. If you're watching this, Denisha, we hooked up one time. I don't know why you're crashing out over it that fucking bad. The fact that it went from just berating me in my DMs to straight lying about pregnancy to now harassing me on the internet, on all the dead homies, you're a weirdo. Now please, don't ever contact me again or I will just continue to spill receipt. Thank you.
I do love his personality a bit. I do love him, Khalil. I love him. I do kind of think he's so funny. Like I'm also on his side right now. I love support the victims. But I do love that he's just like, don't mess with me. And also he told people to keep homophobia out of his chat, which I appreciate because they were all in the chat like, oh my God, I thought you were gay. I thought you were gay. Rude. But also, even if he was, okay, let's keep going.
This is the last thing I'm going to address regarding this entire situation.
It's
I
not.
never cheated on my girlfriend. I don't even have a girlfriend. I met a girl a week after me and Denisha hooked up and we started hanging out. The girl did my nails and posted them on her story. I shared it. Denisha was stalking me and saw that and then assumed that I had a girlfriend. So everyone calling me a cheater, go fuck yourself. Here's the screenshot showing our first date. The girl who I had met.
Okay, hey, I thought my phone was charging, but it wasn't even plugged in, so I'm going to take a bit more time. Sorry, Elmo, take your time. I'm on my way. If you're still down, okay, let me change then. I'm on Broadway, right? I'll be over in 15. Okay.
And hung out with, we met on January 16th for the first time in real life. These messages from the day I met
Denisha says, nice to meet you. Sorry we didn't hang out the whole day. Likewise, my bad. I don't know what this
Denisha
is.
from-
I'm baking this self tape right now. All good, taking a nap and no one to cuddle with. Okay.
January 10th. I was saying I would avoid this if I didn't cheat. Whole time, I never cheated. This is the last thing
I said I was done talking about it, but I'm not, because one thing you're not going to do is call me a liar. Firstly, to the people who are like, oh, you're lying, you fabricated those screenshots, that's why you cropped the name, da-da-da. When you green screen on TikTok, it crops the top and the bottom of your photo, so there's that. Here's all the full screenshots for you.
Okay, so these are full screenshots, which are actually like very fucking hard to read.
This is the shit that pisses me off, because I came on.
I said I was done talking about it, but I'm not, because you fabricated those screenshots, that's why you cropped it. When you green screen on TikTok, it crops the top and the bottom of your photo, so there's that. Here's all the full screenshots.
Okay, these are actually incredibly hard to read, but they're basically what we read already. See, here's the Usher picture, everything else. He's like, these are pretty convincing receipts, right? I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to take away from this in terms of like him lying, but I'm too much of a boomer to assume all this is fabricated.
For you. Here's the rest of the screenshots. To everyone who's saying, oh, why would you bring her drama to the internet? She tried to fucking dox me. She tried to run a smear campaign on me. She was lying about being pregnant to coerce me into having sex with her, and it's been going on for a month and I haven't said shit. Well, how do you know she's trying to run a smear campaign? DJ Soulchild sent me these screenshots from an email that he got from an anonymous account a week ago. I have been getting harassed about cheating on my nail tech girlfriend for a fucking month. The person who stalked my nail tech girlfriend was Denisha. While on Facebook,
Like, why? So he's getting harassed out of the blue. Like, imagine you're chilling, you had a hookup, you're not thinking about it. Then all of a sudden you get a bunch of weird comments on your videos out of the blue. Like, I can't believe you cheated on your girlfriend. You're like, what girlfriend? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much here that's like, what are you talking about? And then he starts to research, like, who is this person that's been driving me crazy, right? Like, who is it? Oh, chat says not DJ Soulchild. Who's that? Who's that? Fill me in. Who is that? Who is that?
time with her friend who exposed her. He literally asked me, oh, are you talking to the blank girl with blank features? The only reason he would know that is if Denisha is fucking stalking the people I'm talking to. Also, Raya is exclusive. If you caught me on Raya, that means that you are someone who is also on fucking Raya. And guess what? We matched on Raya. Like, an anonymous person caught me on Raya. Meanwhile, you have to get fucking approved to even be on the app. However, caught me on Raya is someone who has some level of influence. People are like, oh, why didn't you screenshot her on the dating app? It's Raya. You cannot screenshot on Raya or you will get kicked the fuck off. You will literally get banned from the app for screenshotting people. Also, I'm just not lame. I'm not gonna screenshot people who are popular who match with me because that's fucking lame. And if you don't believe me, I literally called her Uber. Here's a screenshot. Everyone wondering why she's not giving her side of the story. It's because it's fucking embarrassing. This whole thing is fucking embarrassing.
Denisha has this whole thing where she's like, never go out with a man and not let him pay, even if he's just your friend. Like, Denisha has a rule on her channel where, like, even if it's your male friends, they should pay for you. So super, like, toxic, right?
She's not going to post her side of the screenshots because all the screenshots are the same, because why the fuck would I fabricate a story like this? Like, do you think I'm Tyler Perry? Mind you, I really did not want to post about this. I literally texted her saying, yo, I have screenshots showing that you're lying. Please leave me alone. She continued to go. So
He sent me everything, dude. It's been read and shared. Okay, if you read them, you'll see it's very clear. I'm not lying. I told my mother, who is very well off and will aid me in legal troubles, especially when the case is this cut and dry. Ooh, what did not to bring up Ethan from H3H3 again, but what did he say when a YouTuber says, like, I'll get my whole legal team. I'm going to get my legal team involved. They don't got a legal team. Oh, you got a rich mom with a legal team? Girl, why are you throwing around threats? Okay.
So guess what? Two could play that game. She literally was having people fucking harass me on Instagram and TikTok for months. People were literally at her behest contacting people that I fucking work with. To be fair, she does have some narcissistic personality quirks, which I feel like led to her not truly believing that her friend would out her so bad just to get back at her. I sent her one screenshot asking her to leave me alone, and I don't think she believed that her friend would out himself so bad and send me all the screenshots of their conversation. Because yes, shout out to him for sending me the screenshots, but the screenshots still make him look very bad. Everyone
True.
was like, oh, how could you be around someone with drastically different politics? I need you to realize I don't be on the internet like that. To me, Denisha is just the AI girl who talks in the monotone voice. I was not familiar with her Twitter. I was not familiar with her takes regarding texturism and colorism. I was not familiar with any of this. I genuinely have not seen her on my For You page since like 2022. All the takes I've seen from her have given progressive liberal. And yes, I don't like liberals, but we have to also realize that liberals make up like 80% of people who are not staunch Republicans. But yeah, that's all I got for you. I said I was done talking about it.
See, this is the shit that pisses me off, because I came on here and was like, yo, someone tried to coerce me into sex, attempted to dox me, and has been harassing me online for almost 2 fucking
So the comment says, okay, but why were you on Raya of all the dating apps when the app centers exclusivity? There are others that don't. You're confusing me too, Diva.
months. And the one thing y'all took away was, oh, you use Raya? Like, yes, newsflash, smartass, the 25-year-old photographer in one of the most expensive cities on the world where houselessness just keeps fucking increasing with no degree and no support in this city is on the app where the models are at. Niggas surprised that I'm on the app where my peers and other creatives are at. Like, are y'all fucking dumb? What do you think my job is? Who do you think my clients are? Niggas talking about, oh, Raya is exclusive. Bitch, so is Tinder Gold. So is Hinge Plus. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, wait until y'all find out that all dating apps are pay to play. Wait until y'all find out that pretty people are granted privileges on all dating apps. Niggas like, oh my god, you're on the app where the famous people are. Oh, you use Raya, but it's diametrically opposed to your politics. I'm making this video on a fucking iPhone. I'm literally in a house on stolen indigenous land. And the real kicker is, I'm political on Raya too. I'm political everywhere I fucking go. Anyone who knows me knows, you bring me on set, I'm gonna start talking about politics. If we can get a little class conscious going while we shoot this fucking editorial, bitch, I'm gonna do it. Oh, but there's conservatives on Raya. Oh my god, spooky secret, there's conservatives on every fucking app. And I hate discourse where niggas is like, oh, if the roles were reversed. But if I was a woman who came on this app and said, yo, this creator has been fucking harassing me, and niggas was like, oh, but you were on that app, so like, how fucking dumb do y'all sound, bro? Like, I came on here and told motherfuckers how I was harassed, and y'all go to us either, oh, this nigga's gay, or this nigga's on Raya. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Oh, you didn't check her background well enough. What kind of weird victim blamey bullshit are y'all niggas on for real? See, this is the shit that pisses me off, because I came on.
Okay, right? Like, I think it's pretty clear where he stands and like what his vibe is, right? And I love it. I'm in it. I'm with it. I like the energy. He's 25 though. Who knows what that means? I don't know anything about this person. I just know that I do believe him. I have no reason not to believe him for now. If Denisha comes out and retells a story and it changes and there's something more to it, I accept that as well. But I really think this is about character. I really think this is what it's about, because he's right. Like, that friend who was texting with Denisha and conspiring with her is also not a good person. And the fact is, they only told Khalil what was happening because they wanted to get revenge on her, not because they were standing up for him. So I think that's really important to pay attention to. And I think that's what's so difficult. Is like, there is just like a group of really toxic people that you can get wrapped in with and not realize it, and then only have an ugly way of getting out, because it's almost like they don't want you to get away from them. There is like an ugliness to groups of people, like, again, categories of people, that it's I don't know how people could be so cruel. Like, I mean, I know it. I'm not an idiot, you know, but it's like, it's so cruel. And then it's like they got their teeth in you. And as he tries to pull away, she's just like, he can't leave. I won't let him leave. And it's like, oh, relax, bro. Oh, is that my cat? Is that my mouse? Indiana's like, excuse me, can you let me out, queen? What was interesting about her is that for so long, you know, she had some relevance on TikTok, but I started to notice it kind of go down after a while. And then do you guys remember when Denisha had the hand thing? She had this secret second account where her arm would be up, be talking like this. And people were like, is this Denisha? It sounds like her. And she's like, that's not me. And then finally it became clear it was her. But she like, I feel like she's a manufactured content creator. I don't think she's like real in a sense, but I think that's why she probably is a grifter. So I want to talk about the correlation between the mean, gross, and the grift. Grifters are so gross. And I think a big part of it is because they're the category of humans that are willing to hurt people, like no matter how bad it gets at the expense of everyone else, even their own people, whatever that means. Like they will get what they want. And I feel like she might fall into this category, right? No matter who it hurts, no matter at anyone's expense. And she's only 27 and she's this maniacal. I'm like, how young does it start is the question. I think of like all these conservative grifters and all these other people. And again, I know the story's fresh, so I'm still like forming my thoughts, but I'm really trying to figure out, how does this type of person end up with this type of life? Like, how do you make these types of decisions? And a big part of it is maybe they're having like a biological experience where they were kind of born this way, or maybe they learned to be this way, but how do they like live with themselves? You know, Chad says, can you explain the grift thing more? Well, in relation to Denisha specifically or in general? Because grifting takes a very specific kind of person. I think you have to be kind of special to grift. Like you gotta have to be very like low values, low empathy. Like what would your value even be if you were a grifter except money or status or something else? And yes, chat, both Discord and chat said crab behavior, like the crab mentality, like pull each other down, all trying to get out. It's like, you know what I mean? So a person who can grift, like I'm trying to, you know, we joke on this channel a lot, what should my grift be? Because the truth is like, I cannot grift. I cannot keep up with an act, you know? And I'm trying to figure out what would it take for somebody to grift? How do they sleep at night? And then how does a Denisha sleep at night? Hold on, did I pull it up? Maybe I didn't. Chat says, how can we recognize a grifter? I feel like I can recognize a political grifter, but outside of that, I can't. I think the stories just don't add up after a while. You know how you ever meet somebody that tells you a story and you're like, whoa, that's so interesting. Wow. And then as you get to know them, the stories don't match up. Like it starts being unbelievable. I think that's sort of why people thought Trisha Paytas was a grifter, because her stories wouldn't add up. But there is a difference between being a grifter and then being a troll. And I do think those things are different. Like the why is different. Grifting in real life feels like somebody putting on a mask to play a role, while trolling feels like somebody who like puts on a mask to amuse themselves almost. Or maybe it could be similar. Russell Brand, massive grifter. I agree, chat. I think Russell Brand is a horrible grifter. The Trisha to Tana spectrum. I am fascinated by these bubbles. Chat says, I think you have to believe you're superior to everyone, like you deserve to hurt them. Maybe for grifting. I think grifters probably have to think that they're smart. I bet they think they're smarter than everybody else. Like, oh, these people are so stupid and I'm just taking all their money. I think Denisha probably thinks she's like very smart. You know, like, look at all these people who are buying into my thing. You know what I mean? Maybe that's it too. And her pretty privilege benefits her. She's very pretty. Even without makeup on, I saw her doing like a get ready with me. Even without makeup, she's very pretty. And pretty privilege plays a huge role in people thinking you're innocent, people thinking you're good. They have done studies that the prettier you are, the more good people think you are. Literally, like ethically good. You know what you want to talk about free will? We can't even freely choose if we think pretty people are good or not. You know, Chet says the halo effect has us in a chokehold. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You know, Chet says I always see grifting as someone who uses the mask to gain something from others, while trolling is more causing discomfort to others. Do you think grifters tend to be 2Cs? That's a great question. So if you guys are new to my channel, I have an observational philosophy called The Levels. You can check out a link in the description. It's a categorization system about introspection, extrospection. So 2Cs grifting. No, I think 2As probably grift more than 2Cs. I think 2Cs scam at a high level, a higher level than 2Bs. But I think 2Cs and 2As are the grifters scammers, but on different levels. Like 2As are smarter about it and 2Cs are less smart about it. What would Denisha be? She could be a 2A, but she could just be a 2C. She's definitely a 2, right? Like, but what value system is she relying on? That's the question. That says, I thought grifters were financially motivated and trolls emotionally motivated, like they feed off emotions. I think that's a good, that's a great point. Yeah, I think grifting is about the money rather than trolling being about the lols. I think that is true, actually. What do you guys think? Let's see. That says Clarkson Lawson. I don't know if I know who that is. A gay guy who fancies himself politically independent, but has rode to the anti-woke wave for a while. Now he seems to disavow Trump. I always get grifter vibes from him, for sure. Wait, who is this? Let me Google his face. Oh, I know this face. Yeah. That's the problem, too. When I see LGBT people being like conservative and giving into the conservatives, I always kind of assume it's a grift. But as a former Republican gay person, I will say sometimes you just authentically were raised in the bubble and you think that's the answer. But I will say that I don't get authenticity from a majority of minorities who are conservative. I get the most authentic Trump voter who's a minority is the immigrant coming from a background of parents who are immigrants. There's nothing more authentic than an immigrant Trump voter in terms of them not being a grifter. But the YouTubers who are like people of color, queer, LGBT, and they're like, these woke people, they're like crazy. Wow, look at these leftists. They always give me grift. Chad says, I think I've decided free will is available to us, but it isn't guaranteed. I think of free will that way. I think all of us experience making choices. But to me, making a choice is not an indication of free will. To me, it's not the choice, it's how you make that choice that indicates a free will. I think we're always making choices. Some of it is free will, some of it isn't. And no one's better or worse. I don't think people are better or worse based off of like their access to free will. I think like free will is predicated on the radical acceptance that you're only as capable as your biological experience. And, you know, everyone takes it in a different direction. Some people believe, like the determinists, right, that you are heavily determined by your biological experience to such an extent that the you that is you isn't really real in a sense. They tell that infamous story about the man who got the metal rod that went through his head, changed his brain chemistry and changed his whole personality. And then the you that was you didn't exist once your brain got damaged. So if your brain is you and your brain, when damaged, changes who you are, did you even exist, right? And then there's this idea that I think I have, which is like, I think you have a consciousness inside of that brain that has a relationship to everything else, but is predicated on that brain, which might be saying the same thing, but I think it's a different perspective of that thing. I do think there's a real you. I don't think I can replace you. Right? Yeah, Phineas Gage, exactly. I don't think I can replace the you that is you. I just think we all have a different relationship with the you that is us. And so I think that's what's really difficult. Like I'm autistic and well, whether or not you're autistic or not, you get triggered, right? When you're triggered and in the back of your head, you're there and you're like, oh my God, stop. Like, stop freaking out. Stop worrying. Stop. Just or maybe you're having like a freeze day because you're ADHD or overwhelmed and you tell yourself like, get off the couch. Come on, let's do it. Get off the couch. And your body's just like, I'm not doing it. In those moments, I feel like my body is making a decision that my brain can't override. And my consciousness is just stuck inside my head being like, well, I guess this is what we're doing today. I guess like no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to like be able to fake it. You know, that like idea of faking it is, I think, comes from that idea of like free will. I can't fake like an attitude or a mood. which means like how much free will could I have if I can't fake my own mood, right? I don't have free will when it comes to changing my like, just be happy. Okay. You know, just be happy. It's like, I can't do that, but I can introspect enough to make decisions that I couldn't make before by gaining more tools in order to make better decisions when I'm in those moods, by like communicating, hey, I'm in a mood. I can't shift it. I'm going to let you know ahead of time. I'm just going to watch anime today and kind of chill. I'm not going to stream. I don't want to bring that energy to stream. That's an example of what I think is like a free will access that I didn't have before. Let's say before I would have been like, no, I have to stream. I have to show up. I have to fake it. And then I get on stream and then maybe I have a bad attitude or something. And then it kind of ruins the stream. And everyone's like, wow, Brittany was really mean today. It's like, why would I want to bring that energy to stream? So now I just say, I'm not going to stream. If I'm having that bad of a mood shift, if I'm that negative and I can't get out of it, I just say like, hey, like my body's having an experience. I'm fine, but my body has decided it's moody today. You know, that says, how do you distinguish the you and intrusive thoughts? Great question. Wonderful question. A question that I would love, people like Trisha Paytas to answer, because you know how Trisha is always talking about her intrusive thoughts, but then she also has auditory, like things she hears. It's very confusing. To me, the you that is like the me that is me, well, first of all, do you guys all hear your, do you have dialogue in your head? Like, can you think? Because I can think, I can imagine, I can like imagine smells. Like my imagination's 100, like, so can you guys all think here? Let me bring this up. Okay, let me bring this up. Okay, y'all see this? Try to imagine seeing an apple. Which one? This is a very bad picture. Okay. Fruit, red, sweet, round. Do you imagine words, descriptions, the outline of an apple? How clear can you see the apple? Right? I feel like I'm all the way at the other end, bro. I feel like the apple's so real, I can smell it. So first we have to figure out, how do we think and how does our brain work and how do we hear and imagine? So my normal thoughts are my monologued voice. I know what I sound like when I'm like this, normal, when I'm like balanced, grounded Brittany, right? I can hear myself. So what I'm thinking, I'm just thinking, and sometimes I think out loud as well, where I'm like, oh, I'll be thinking, but I can hear my own monologue, like, and then I go there, and then I think this, and then I think, and I'm having a dialogue with myself. I can hear my own voice. It's me. My intrusive thoughts are more like they're stress induced. So when I'm really stressed, even biological, even if I'm not depressed because I'm stressed, I'm just having a normal, regular stress, normal person stress day. Okay. My thoughts might be more like, fuck this, slam your keyboard and break it. And I'm like, we're not going to break our keyboard. Or it's like, fuck, I just want to throw a glass. We're not going to throw a glass. We're just stressed and we're looking for ways to be not stressed. Fuck, I just want to like burn it to the ground. I should kill myself. Like that would be easier than editing this video. Let's just kill ourselves. And I'm like, we're not going to kill ourselves. We have to edit this video. It's like when I'm stressed, my body goes to like ways to fix it so I'm not stressed. And so the thoughts become like very, irrational. They're just irrational. It doesn't make sense. We can't break our keyboard. How's it going to help us edit our video? And then maybe on a really bad mental health day, which I haven't had in a really long time, maybe it actually turns into something like self-harm. It's been like 5 years since I've really self-harmed. And I think those intrusive thoughts come from like despair, come from like really feeling lost. And so the only solution we can create is to like want to hurt ourselves or want to feel like, let's just end it all, that kind of stuff. Does that answer that question? Let's see. Okay. And then hold on. I read some comments. That says, how do you differentiate between your mind and your body? If you feel moody, is that your body? So, okay. Your body, like if you stub your toe, that's your body in pain, but the only reason you know you're in pain is because you have the right things working in your brain to process pain. Fibromyalgia is guys, help me with this language. It's fibromyalgia is my brain. The doctor explained it to me as my brain is processing pain. So what should feel like normal pain feels 10 times worse to my brain, but nothing is happening to my body. At least that's what my doctor said. He said nothing is actually happening to your body in a literal sense, but it is physically painful because your brain is like, it's not psychosomatic, no Discord. It's neurological miscommunication. Thank you. Yes, chat. It's neurological miscommunication. It's neurological. Like he said that my brain is like inputting a pain receptor. It's like, imagine my brain was in charge of my body and it's like, pain, but it accidentally set it to like 10,000 instead of like a normal number. So when my body feels like it's in pain, it's not because I got cut. It's because my computer sent the wrong fucking percentage to the processor. Yeah, so I'm in pain, but I know that I didn't get cut. I know I don't have a bruise. I know I don't have to go to the doctor and get stitches. But my body can feel like it's in the worst pain in the world, but it's just because my brain is misfiring. It's like miscalculating. And that's like my computer's misprocessing. That's how I think of it, right? And then my physical body, it could be like a cut. It could be like a pain or an ache, like, oh, my body's in so much pain today, right? And then my mental health is more like my brain is so sad today. It's like so depressed today. But the me that is me is just experiencing it. And this comes into philosophical belief, right? I feel like I am experiencing my life. I used to think it was like me. I used to think my intrusive thoughts were me. And then I realized like, oh, I'm just here observing it. I'm here observing my body. I'm here observing my brain. The only thing that is me is the me that I process as like having an opinion or the one observing and experiencing. That's the I, right? So like, you know, my body, I don't take it personal anymore that it malfunctions, but yeah, sometimes it's exhausting, let me tell you, you know? Or sometimes my intrusive thoughts show up and I'm like, oh, it's like a spam. It's like an ad on your YouTube page. It's like an ad pops into my brain and it's like, kill yourself. Spill that water glass. You know, it's just like, close the ad. Don't click on that ad. You know what I mean? Don't click on that ad. Okay, does that answer that question? But yeah, well, sometimes I wish I could remember what it was like to not have fibromyalgia. And it's really frustrating when people say like fibro isn't real. Or I saw a TikTok today where a guy was like, endometriosis isn't real. Endometriosis is literally seen with a camera. We can literally see it with a camera. Like, what are you talking about? It's not real. You know, that's why I say don't listen to people who aren't more inclined to the truth, because they will convince you that like, oh, you're just making it up in your head. It's not in my head. Like in your head implies it's not real, but like you are experiencing everything through your brain. That's why the determinists think that you basically have no free will, because everything is about this brain. And the moment your brain processes things in a different way, that is now reality. And that's why the question of reality is so fascinating, because if reality is predicated on this thing, then this thing can control everything that you see all the time. But I think through therapy, good therapy, deconstructionist, intersectional therapy, I think with the right amount of data and philosophy, you can start to deconstruct in a healthy way and pull things apart to know which is which is this like limited processing machine, and which is this consciousness that this processing machine allows me to sort of exist within, like in a symbiotic, positive, hopefully positive symbiotic way. And then that's the me versus the processing machine, right? Yeah. Kat says, my biggest issue is the waves of brain fog because it makes it hard to even detect the line between me, the other me, and the world. I just nap if I can, trudge along if I can. Hey, a nap is great. Sometimes when there's nothing else to do, take a nap. Masturbate. Watch some anime. That's the one thing I have learned, is that sometimes there's nothing you can do. And my Taurus brain is like, but there must be something I can do. Sometimes the only thing to do is vibe, Vibe in the pain, vibe in the moment, allow yourself to let go of this idea of controlling it, because you can't. The more you try to control it, the more it's going to cause you unnecessary suffering. Suffer wisely. Unnecessary suffering? Oh no. Absolutely not. You know, that's not what we want. Because is consciousness just software run on our brains, which is hardware? To some extent, I think that's a really good way to think about it, which begs the question, what is consciousness? Which is why, like, this whole conversation about veganism and pro-life and pro-choice and living creatures and what does it mean? Talk about mysteries of the universe. Talk about mysteries of the universe. Like, instinctually, I think we know something about the idea of life and death. But I really think we're at an odds right now because we're so advanced and yet so limited in our understanding of self, the universe, the environment, that it's leaving us feeling very narcissistically egotistical and smart. And I know everything. It's all a Google away, to realizing like we really know nothing. So I think I tried the hardest to just enjoy seeking truth, knowing I'll die, not knowing most of it. But I think I'm fascinated at the idea that like this me that is me might just be a living energy within the earth. Like I'm just another atom, like floating in the universe. Like we're atoms knocking against atoms. But like even that in and of itself is kind of beautiful and fascinating and wow. But then what does it mean? And then it kind of, you know, allows you to ask yourself, why do you value things over other things? Because when you start to deconstruct, you allow yourself to realize like you really don't know. It's kind of like when people ask you a question, you realize like, I don't actually know that, but I learned it in school, but I don't know it. I'm just regurgitating what I heard. If we were all honest, we don't know a lot, but I think some of us know something about something. And the thing you can know the most about is yourself. Like we're always so busy studying topics outside of ourselves. That's the extrospection, which is great. But the introspection is where it's at. I think all healing, all good information, all good steps for humanity come from introspection. And I think the more we do that, I think it's better for everyone. But it's not our default. Our default seems to be, who am I when it comes to everything outside of myself? You know, I feel like that's why the world suffers so unnecessarily, because we suffer so unnecessarily in our daily lives. We really do. And I realized that personally. When I looked at my life and I was ready to be somebody else, I just tried to find out every way I was suffering unnecessarily and got rid of it. And my life got instantly better. Who would have thought? And now I just suffer wisely. Whatever that means, you know. That says I grew up conservative, and the first time I questioned whether being pro-life was right was when I heard about how Black enslaved women killed their baby so that they could avoid a life of enslavement. Talk about a bubble pop. That's fascinating. Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. It is, I mean, you know, that is something I think about, not in that context, but I mean, I do think about it all the time, like making a baby is such an interesting decision in the modern world even, you know? Morgan, welcome to memberships. Let's go. Welcome, welcome. I find that fascinating. What does it mean to make life? And what does it mean to make a baby? We said it on stream yesterday that I grew up in a bubble that wanted you to make a baby so that baby could save the world. Like the Avatar. Oh, let's leave it to the 12-year-old monk. That's a great idea. You know what I mean? But it kind of. Sometimes I think adults literally look to children to save them. And I think that's something we're going to have to contend with in the next 50 years. Our parents, the adults, really be looking at the kids as they tell them they're nothing and they're young and you don't know better, to also blame them for the state of the world. They're responsible for everything and never given a chance to be responsible for anything. I find that fascinating. That says I watched a video of an ex-brain surgeon neuroscientist talking about consciousness, and he said one thing that makes it completed to study is the fact that we observe it with itself. Complicated, not completed, Brittany. Complicated. Thank you. Sorry, my brain. Yeah, obvious. So obviously, right? That's first of all, that is exactly what keeps me. You want to know what keeps me up at night? The fact that we only perceive through our own perception. That's why I say we all live in bubbles. I can only perceive you through my brain. That's the only way I understand you. So when I meditate, one of my meditation practices, is I try to imagine that I'm not me and I'm living outside of my brain. How would I perceive myself if I wasn't me? Very difficult. How would I perceive the world around me if I wasn't me? And I think that through my personal meditative practice, and of course, I want to coincide it with data and science, of course, to ground myself in truth and understanding, even though we know all these things are flawed because humans, are the ones processing them. I want to, and I think I have gotten close to having those moments of really feeling like I am just an observer. And in those moments, being alive feels truly amazing. Like really astounding, like really like breathtaking, like, wow, being a person is amazing. Then when I'm back in my body, I'm like, it's whatever. It's life. It's cool. It's whatever. Because when I'm observing, I don't have to deal with the world. I get to just enjoy it. But when I'm in my body, I have to deal with the world. I have to deal with medicine and health and governments and discrimination and homophobia and transphobia, and I have to deal with the world. But when I'm meditating and I'm observing, I'm just in love with the earth. I'm in love with animals and people, and I'm just like, wow. Like being in love or being in my life observing life is so beautiful, Because so like don't take experience personally. Yeah, to some extent, like I think we exist outside of our bodies. Like I think you are more than your skin color or your gender. I think life is so much more important than these things. And these things trap us because other people decide to use it against us, but they're not real. I mean, they're real because we perceive them, but the constructs aren't real. They're made up. So I think we can't help but take it personal because the constructs are a threat to our life. But if we didn't have those constructs and people weren't holding it against us, then it would just literally be us experiencing life. Like imagine a reality. Like I say this about men all the time. Men aren't inherently bad. When they say it's not all men, but it's always a man, what they're really commenting on is conditioning. I don't think being born a man makes you a bad person. But I do think the way we raise people and condition them as men for thousands of years makes most men pretty fucking bad people. And that's devastating. But I think it's true. And I think our families are at fault for contributing to it. I mean, I certainly grew up with a mother who suffered from internalized misogyny, and there was misogyny in the home. And though they tried, and though they were pretty good at dismantling some constructs around gender, there was still enough misogyny in the home to cause issues, including in myself. I suffer from internalized misogyny. What's her name? Who wrote Loud on TikTok? She talks about her own struggle with internalized misogyny, and I think it's really important. Like Pick Me Culture, Internalized Misogyny, Drew Afawalo. You can read that book. You can listen to it on Spotify if you're a member on audio. It's really good. But for thousands of years, really, men have been conditioned. But the irony, and this is what I wish men would internalize, I can't care about your suffering because you don't even care about your suffering. I mean, you say you care, but I don't see you doing that in action. I can't tell you how many men have just called me to vent to me about how much they're suffering because they're men. But when I tried to give them any of the tools to deconstruct it, they're like, no, it is what it is. You can't ask the world to validate your suffering. You can only validate it yourself, but you're not validating it by just complaining about it. Validation should seek a goal of introspection to deconstruct and put it in its place. I am in pain. I'm so sorry you're in pain. Thank you for seeing my pain. Now, what do you do with your pain? Once your pain is validated, you must do something with it. You can't keep it. We're going to put it in its place. We're going to heal. People don't want to heal. Being in pain is so much better, especially when you're a podcast bro. Why heal the pain when it can keep you angry and bitter? When I made that transformation in my life right before 30, and I said, okay, I need to be a different person than this person, right? I remember, this is so embarrassing now. But I remember, this would have been like 5 years ago, maybe even a little longer now, but it would have been over 5 years ago. End of 2019. And I was still trying to make it work with like a really toxic ex, right? And it wasn't working. And I was in his parents' house and I thought his parents had left already. This is so, girl, I'm about to be vulnerable as fuck. I thought his parents had left already. Really great people. And honestly, like really great people. And his mom's the one who said to me basically like, I couldn't imagine like a very mature and healthy person dating my son. And I was like, I got it, girl. I'm leaving. I got it. She really rooted for me. I really appreciate her. So I thought they had left because they had a meeting to go to. And I was like, okay, cool. We have the house to ourselves. So we're talking, and he was an extremely difficult person, very suffering person, like a lot. Anyways, would eat the cupcake to save his life, like genuinely would eat the cupcake to save his life. And we were fighting. We started arguing, and I was really stressed. And when I get overwhelmed, I just want to break something, you know, because it makes me feel like I have control. And I usually break my own things. I really try hard not to break anybody else's things. I'm very good at only hurting myself. I'm like very, very good at only hurting myself. So I took my own stuff and I smashed it on the ground because I was so frustrated. I had been walking on eggshells for, months. I had been trying to do all of this labor. I've been trying to get him so much of the help he needed and he wouldn't take it. Everyone around him tried to help him. He wouldn't take it from anybody. So I slammed my stuff on the ground and screamed. And his parents were still home. I was so embarrassed. And they came around the corner and they saw me and they said, whoa. And I said, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't know you were here. I'm so sorry. And they were like, don't apologize. It's okay. Why are you so upset? And I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like it's too much. And they're like, we know. And they knew because they were parents. They know, as a parent, what it's like to do everything possible to help your kid and they just won't get better. And they knew I couldn't do it anymore. And they gave me permission to leave. And girl, I never went back. It was a horribly painful experience to look at somebody who had a whole community who was trying to help and like they wouldn't take the help. But more than that, I received the help and I took it. And the help was giving me permission to not have to see this relationship through when there was no positive end. This was never going to be healthy. And they could see that. They could see how hard I fought. They could see how hard I tried. They could see the validation was great from his parents because they could see it. They were with us for a lot of our conversations of us trying to make it work. And I left and I never went back and it was great. But I, in that moment, like lost control of myself and I smashed my stuff. And I remember just being so angry. But then time went by and I stopped smashing shit. I stopped hurting myself. I just stopped. One day became another day, became 10 days, became 12 days, became 5 years since I smashed anything. And now I don't even think about smashing stuff. I mean, I have the intrusive thoughts, but I don't do it. And I don't get angry enough to do it. Even though I can get frustrated, I don't ever feel that out of control anymore. And a big part of it is the work that I've done to heal, therapy and stuff like that, meditation, philosophy. But another part of it is environmental changes. I'm very open with boundaries. Very open with boundaries. And it's funny because my partner made a joke during the election season. I was talking to my mom on speaker. And he was like, sometimes you get more upset at randos on the internet than your own mother who's saying some of the like cruelest shit to you right now. And I was like, it's because my mom, I'm used to my mom, after all these years, I'm used to my homophobic parents, but the internet sometimes will upset me even more because I'm like, oh, it gets under my skin. But like, then you have to let that go too. I am very open with boundaries. But I remember talking to my mom over the election and we were talking about whether or not Trump was a rapist, right? Because she thinks, of course, it's a conspiracy and he's not a rapist. And they just say this to discount him as a person. And I said, they don't have to make it up, Mom. He admits to things. And she says, oh, he's just joking. And I was like, name me a man who's ever joked about being a rapist and wasn't one. Like, come on, girl. Anyways, all of this to say that sometimes the best thing to do for yourself is to pull yourself apart to know which part of your brain is reacting to what Now that I'm diagnosed autistic, a part of my brain looks back at my whole life and wonders, oh, which part was the autism? Now, people believe like all of it is the autism. It's hard for me because I'm so into like pulling my brain apart. Is it always the autism? I feel like I must exist outside the autism because when I'm having, you know, an autistic moment, there's a voice in the back of my head that's like, hey girl, what are you doing? And I'm like, shh, I'm having an autistic moment. And the voice in the back of my head's like, can you stop? And I'm like, no. Like, no, like think about food sensory issues. There's a voice in my head that knows I just made this delicious food, but the texture's off. So now I can, you know what I did the last 2 days? It's it's like autism, the opposite direction. I made this pasta dish yesterday and today that is so good texture wise. Just the texture is so good that I keep overeating. And I don't like overeating. I don't like it. But I made such good pasta that I was in a food coma 2 days in a row, which is that's not normal for me. But it was good. Like it just hit. Like it just hit so good that I was like, I killed it. I killed this vegan ass pasta, bro. Ooh, I killed this vegan dish. I killed it. Gluten-free vegan, killed it. It was so good. I can't wait to end stream so I can go eat it on my leftovers. Discord said, sorry if this is inappropriate to ask, but did you originally blame yourself for the failure of that relationship or your behavior under stress? I find it hard to not linger on the past for being toxic while in toxic dynamics. I think it's also something a lot of people deal with. I'm going to make a little bit of a joke, but I'm too much of a tourist to blame myself. You know what I mean? Like for a toxic relationship? Yeah. First of all, I pride myself in being really good as a relationship person. In terms of what I bring to a relationship, I think I'm incredibly kind and generous and thoughtful and considerate. And I feel like I get that feedback from everybody in my community. And it also helps that all my friends have always hated everyone I've dated. So when I would have issues with my relationships, they'd be like, girl, he's obviously mistreating you. She's obviously mistreating you. One time I was going to have a date with a girl. I got really dressed up. I was feeling so pretty. I was ready. She calls me and says, I can't make our date. And I said, why not? We were poly at the time. This is many, many years ago. It's like a very long time ago. She says, it's like 14 years ago. She says, my other boyfriend, he needs my attention and he has to come first. And I was like, girl, we're adults and we had a date planned. And because your other partner needs your attention tonight, you're going to cancel our date? And she goes, yes. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like so devastated by this. I went to my friend's house who were my guy friends, and they were just like, Brittany, dump her. You don't deserve this. You look so cute today. Look how much you dressed up and you're going to let this girl like, and I was like, yeah, fuck her. And I was like, fuck this. Then we dated for a few more months later because that's my MO. And I realized like, yeah, I show up to the best of my ability, but I also I give people too many chances. So then a part of me is like, what do we have to do? I can't blame myself for people mistreating me, but I do blame myself for staying. And I do blame myself for putting up with it. And I do blame myself for giving them another chance, but I don't blame myself for the bad relationship. I blame myself for being stupid. And then I stopped blaming myself eventually because blaming myself ain't gonna help. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna help. But I'm telling you, the way people have mistreated me and I have given them second, third chances, like that might be autism right there. YouTube with the super chat. Thank you so much. Says from Cheemsaw Man. Says, hey Britt, loving the stream and human conversations as always. Keep killing it. Have you ever watched or read Dune movies or books? You're very Ben Grissett coded, pronounced Benny Gesserit. I have not actually. No, I haven't read the books or watched the movies. Should I? I guess I should. People always talk about Dune. It's actually one of the like staple books I haven't read. Yeah. Pat says I started blaming myself for things because I was absorbing too much from other people and started to wonder if I never find myself the problem. Am I missing something? No, other people just suck. I think I am the problem, like I said, in ways that I think like I am responsible for staying in those relationships. I am responsible for taking toxic people back. I am responsible in the sense that now I am toxic because I've decided to continue dating toxic people. Like healthy people don't continue dating toxic people. You have to be unhealthy and toxic in order to tolerate and allow toxic people into your life. Now, obviously, if you're in a caregiver role, sometimes we run into this issue where toxic people are in our life and we're there as a caregiver. And I think that's different, or there as a support system, which is different. But like choosing to do life with a toxic person, like what level of toxic are you to be able to handle that? You know, to be able to choose that. And so in those ways, I'm absolutely responsible, right? But again, without blaming ourselves, we just have to accept it is what it is. Like not to make it so like emotional, but analytical. And like I say, if you're new to my audience, the best tool my partner and I use for our own relationship is when we're observing things, especially things that can be uncomfortable. We give ourselves options to review it emotionally. So in our bodies, in our feelings, or analytically, meaning like more like scientists observing, you know, rats in a lab. Like last night you said this, and when your eyebrow went up, I noticed a change in your tonality and wondered if you were mad. You observed correctly. I did feel a slight upsetness, about 10% in that moment, but it went away within 30 seconds. Well, you say 30 seconds, but I promise you that I saw you then put a negative spin at the end of your sentence. So I feel like it lasted at least 2 minutes. And it's like, well, it could have been 2 minutes. It's like that kind of stuff is much easier for us to have big conversations if we kind of take it out of ourselves. Or if we go into our bodies, maybe it will sound like, hey, last night you sounded like kind of upset and kind of hurt my feelings. I just want to know, like, are you upset? Like, did I upset you? And then it's like, yeah, I think you did upset me. And for like 30 seconds there, I was pretty upset with you. And it's like, well, I didn't mean to upset you. Like, I'm so sorry that happened. Like, can we talk about it? Can we clear the air so we can go to sleep like happy? You know, it's like, I think sometimes human beings try to solve problems from those two positions at the same time, and it really messes everything up. For my vegan podcast, it's really hard for me to decide how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it from an observational perspective, obviously, because if I try to do it emotionally, damn, people going to be mad in my comments, but also I'm going to get mad. So I think I'm going to have to do it analytically and just matter of factly have the conversation. It's just so personal to people, and people have so many differing opinions about it. But veganism versus meat eaters versus whatever is such a good example of why people get so emotional. Like they cannot analytically have this conversation. And then at the same time, you don't want to become so analytical that you logic your way into bad conclusions, right? Your feelings are there to balance out the logic. Like they're incredibly valid, right? Discord said, I think letting myself be mistreated is very autistic coded of me. At least my autistic pattern is being in denial about mistreatment and giving too many chances, lessons learned. Hey, whether you're autistic or not, this is just a very common experience for a lot of us that we have to learn. Neurotypicals suffer from this as much as anybody else, where we take back people into our lives and, you know, we make up reasons and excuses why the behavior has to be tolerated. They're hurting, they're in pain, they were mistreated. You know, your trauma doesn't make you a bad person necessarily, but your values can. And sometimes when we're traumatized, we don't have the right tools to form our values. Look, I didn't form my values till I was like 30. Like with peace and love, prior to 30, I did plenty of things that I would now find incredibly unethical and immoral, right? But, you know, before 30, and that's why I wrote them down. I have a whole podcast about this, like writing down your values, like write them down, put them into, like speak them into existence, you know? Show proof that you thought about it. Write it down, because it's pretty easy to say like, oh, I don't believe in killing people, but you're out here funding wars. Or I don't believe I'm killing people, but you praise like people killing other, you know, people in situations. Or, you know, like really think about it. Like, do you have a problem with people dying? What does that problem mean? Is it ever efficient to kill somebody? Should we be killing people? And again, like even when we have these conversations, people act like it's crazy to have the conversation, but we're literally funding genocides right now. Like, please be so for real about our desire to just like casually kill people. And that's why I think people don't want us to have the conversation, or any of us to have it. That's why the vegans are kind of right in a sense. God forbid we ask ourselves, should we eat animals? Like, I think the vegans are correct that meat eaters are very sensitive about admitting they might be doing something unethical. It's scary to people to think like, have I been doing this horrible thing all my life? Maybe. I don't know yet. Let's deconstruct it. I'm not sure. You know? Ted says, I want to challenge that logic and emotions are diametrically opposed. I think it's important to move towards a world that can hold both at the same time. Exactly. Absolutely. Right. I think they work together. That's that yin and yang. That's a symbiotic relationship. The logic and the emotions have got to work together, but both have to be healthy. Healthy logic, healthy emotions make a healthy person. You know, when you're out of sync, you're out of sync. You're a level of dysfunctional. You want to be as functional as possible. You want to be as loving and dignified as possible. I think there's like a level of confusion about those two things because some part of society like really values like logical thinking without emotion, even though the people who represent it are some of the worst people on the planet, right? And then some people see emotionality as only people who crumble under pressure. Ironically, both these people crumble under pressure if they're in the extremes and don't work together in a positive, healthy way. Team Man, thank you so much for another super chat. Says you would love Dune. The Ben character are a sisterhood of space nuns who have a total understanding of their minds, bodies, and souls. They're like the final form of human introspection and extrospection. I love that. Discord also agreed, I believe, if I scroll up here. The Discord also agreed with that categorization. Ben coded, so real. Let's go. Hello, Benny coded, I think you said the pronunciation. Chad says the way our brains work, we can't think without emotion involved. That's what our thalamus and hypothalamus do all day. Love that. Discord says they're matriarchal queens. We love a matriarchal queen. Let's go. In our book club in Discord right now, we're not reading Dune, but we are reading I'm Glad My Mom Died. Sunday, March 2nd is the continuation, chapters 16 through 35. We're listening to the audiobook and discussing. That way, all the dyslexic queens come join us. Kat says it can be scary to be wrong. I think that's why one bubble pop can help lead to another. Oh, I was wrong about this. Okay, what about this? It gets easier. It gets easier if you're open-minded and curious. I think people are less curious than they think they are or open-minded. I got a comment on my channel yesterday or 2 days ago, which I blocked this user because I don't have time for the energy. Okay. But it was like, Brittany, you're so anti like religion and all these things, but you suck the dick basically of like pharmaceutical companies and you're always promoting therapy. It's like, you're not understanding my statement. There's nothing wrong with you personally having your religious beliefs, though I think you should deconstruct everything. It's not my business. But adding that into the law is what's unethical, right? Religions are created by men for men. So, okay. But obviously, every time I talk about therapy on this channel, I always mention that you have to go to a intersectional like therapist or somebody who deconstructs, somebody who's good for you. You can't go to a bad therapist. And pharmaceutical companies aren't even conversations we have on this channel because big pharma is going to be bad for you no matter what. And yet, at the same time, we're so lucky to have like medicine that saves lives. It's like people don't understand. You can hold two truths at once. These tiny contradictions are life. We need medicine to heal things. Did you hear that there's a chance there might not be a flu vaccine this time around because Trump keeps firing everybody? Hello? People still die from the flu. People die from the flu every year. So this idea that we're just sitting here like acting like, oh, you can have both. You can see the good in religion and the good in science and still see the flaw in both. Both have flaws, but both have good things. And at the end of the day, the bad things in both camps are men pushing patriarchal goals on both of us, whether it's through the science bubble and saying we can't have abortions or our antidepressants, or whether it's the religious, bubble where it's like you can't be trans or gay. Like, yeah, that's the bad part of your little bubbles. But the good parts of it exist. Religion gives you community and consistency and structure. It gives you all of the good, happy things we need to survive. And then, science gives us all these great things that we have in front of us, which is longevity and health and healthier babies and a good, better life. Like, both are true at once, guys. Landlords are parasites, but you still need a place to live. Exactly. We all still need a place to live, girl. Crazy. Kat says, I think it's common for neurodivergent people to stay longer than what they're supposed to because we know how it feels to be misunderstood, and we don't want others to we don't want to misunderstand others. So we're late. That's exactly my brain. My brain goes, well, I understand your perspective and I know where you're coming from, and I don't want to discount you because other people don't understand you, but I understand enough. If you're willing to get help, I'm willing to like stand by you. It's my lesson I have to learn all the time is when to let go of that person saying they're going to get help, but they don't. Because it's not the first time, it's not the second. But also, I think there's a difference between inner circle and outer circle. So I'm much more open to just like cutting people off who aren't inner circle, like much quicker now. I used to give them much more space, but I think the last few years taught me a lesson of just like cut everybody off. If they don't go right away, cut them off. They're not, I'm sorry, like I don't need any more people in my life that can't get their shit together. But for inner circle, I could wait a lifetime for those people to get their shit together, but it doesn't mean I have to be in contact with them. It just means like I'll be waiting to hear from them. All the people outside of my inner circle though, like I'll forget you exist. You'll just be a memory of my past. Versus my inner circle will always be a present idea, you know? Yeah. But I think that's so relatable. It's like we really can see. And it sucks like seeing. I wonder how therapists must feel in some ways, or even some parents, to see the problem and what people need to do. I feel that way as a big sister. Sometimes I look at my siblings and I'm like, please don't make this mistake. But also I have to learn that they have to make the mistake too, in the same way that I did. But man, it's hard to watch your siblings make mistakes. You know, it's hard as a therapist to watch a client. You're like, man, if it was your time. But as a philosopher, like a philosophy brain, I truly think you can only do it when you're ready. And until you're ready, it is what it is. Just like the world. The world can't be better until the world is ready to be better. And I really do think we take 3 steps back, 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And like I said, we're really in the 2 steps back era. And we just have to be ready for it. Remember that PragerU video we watched where he was, it's a kid show about Christopher Columbus? And they're like, Christopher Columbus, didn't you have slaves? And he's like, how can you judge me? I am 500 years before you. How can you judge me? How can you judge the past with the present's ruling? Okay, well, we still have slaves. Are we going to do something about that? And everyone's like, nah. Like, we still have a genocide. Are we going to do anything about that? And everyone's like, nah. Okay, well, Nazis are kind of making a comeback. Are we going to do something about that? And everyone's like, nah. Okay, I guess. Okay. What are you going to do? What are you gonna do? You know? Oh, funny. Chat says, any thoughts on the actress that died? Do you mean Harriet the Spy or do you mean somebody else? You don't even know her name, but you're asking us, but is that who you mean? What do you mean? No, I'm sorry, that question's so funny. Any thoughts on the actress that died? Which one? Who? Do you know? Because I don't know. And now I don't know which one you mean. Well, 3 people died this week, so I don't know that they announced. That question's so funny though. Any thoughts on the, I feel like the question was like, any thoughts on the guy who died this week? What guy? Who? 1 million people die a day. Who? But if you mean Harriet the Spy, rest in peace, Queen. I was obsessed with that movie. I used to have a little notebook and I'd run around the house like listening to people and writing down things because I loved her. And my mom would always say, you know, Rosie O'Donnell's a lesbian. And I'd say, oh, really? I love her. And my mom would say, I don't know if I like you watching this movie because Rosie's a lesbian. And I was like, too late, girl. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, girl. All right. Rest in peace. Now, if I'm being honest, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Do you want to talk about anything? I'm here. Short stream or long stream based off of what you'd like to discuss in relation to philosophy, ideas, concepts. Anything we want to talk about? Chet says, I forgot her name. I guess I'll look. Pfft, love that. Love you. Chet says, I love that movie too. Literally had it on VHS and it was orange. Do you remember that? I always knew where it was, girl, because it got that orange. Ugh. I really love it. Rest in peace. You know, when I come back on Tuesday, when I come back on Tuesday too, we'll have probably a regular, like a longer stream or maybe, who knows what. But it's going to be weird coming back. We're not talking about frenemies anymore, From Glee? Who from Glee? Who died from Glee? Who from Glee? I have no idea what anyone's talking about. That says, Brittany, we're conditioned. Take care of the youngest. Take care of the parents. Take care of the younger cousins. Me, Brittany? No, Brittany and chat, Brittany. Right? Yeah, Brittany and chat, Brittany. Never mind. My bad. Do you think it's unreasonable to not date someone who doesn't have a secure attachment style? Do you think it's unreasonable to not date somebody who doesn't have a secure attachment style? I don't think anything is unreasonable as long as it coincides with an understanding of why you have it and it reflects your values, generally speaking. So if you notice this person doesn't have a secure attachment style and it becomes like a big issue in the relationship, sure. But I could be wrong, but I feel like there could be variations of attachment styles that don't always end up being unhealthy and that they could get better. I don't know how to answer that question. I'm not sure. Because really what I hear you asking is, can I date somebody that isn't maybe as secure or healthy or stable as I'd like them to be? I don't think it's ever wrong not to date somebody because they don't give you the security that you need in a relationship. You know what I mean? I don't think that's ever wrong. I think you have to know why you're doing it though. Right? Yeah. Yeah, chat, you were looking for Michelle. Yeah, so Michelle is Harriet the Spy. She did die. 39 natural causes. I heard liver failure, kidney failure, something like that. Very sad. You know? That says, how would I know the attachment style before dating with their past? But I'd like to figure it out. I mean, you could also talk to them about it. Hey, do you know what your attachment style is? And they'd be like, no, what is that? And then you guys could go over it and be like, here, look at these little prompts I got. And then you could talk about, like, which one do you think you are? And then if they're like, attachment styles are stupid and you're stupid for talking about it, you could be like, thank you for the date. Bye. You know, like my partner and I we like talking about this stuff. That's another part of compatibility. You know what I mean? Is saying, hey, what do you think about attachment styles? And then have somebody who actually has that conversation with you. That says, I'm not sure if I should incorporate it into my dating criteria. I feel like everything comes down to values. Okay, I'll give you an example. When I was courting my partner, you guys know the story, important things that told me right away if I should even continue dating anybody. What do you think about LGBT people? It's like the easiest go-to question. Okay? And again, watch the latest video I did on Love is Blind. We're not looking for pansy answers, which is like, I know people who are that way. We don't want those kind of answers. Okay? I'm big on gays, love the LGBTs, love the transes, love the they, thems. We want aggressive, progressive reactions, okay? So anyone who gives a lukewarm answer, how could this girl on the show say, my gay sister is the most important thing to me, and accept an answer from a man that says, oh, I know people who are like that. Girl, we need an aggressive, happy, progressive answer, okay? We need we love the gays answer, or we're not going to a second date. You know what I'm saying? We need a aggressive answer. Okay. We need a very enthusiastic consent answer here. So I think that that's one of the good examples. So attachment styles are really fun to bring up. You know what I mean? Yes, that community. And when you that community, girl, absolutely not. Now I will say I can't socially blame her because the social expectation is to say, okay, that's kind of a goodish answer. We can keep going though, and I'll see later. Either way, it's not good. Okay. So I think that knowing that kind of stuff about you, like I remember I went on a date with a guy and he was like, as the man, I'm really going to have to be the breadwinner. And I was like, okay, do you make money? And he's like, well, not right now. And I was like, girl, get out my DMs, girl. It wasn't even a DM. It was a person to person date. I was like, girl, the audacity to literally tell me like, I'm going to have to be the breadwinner when I just told you I'm a career woman. And to be like, as the man, I'm going to have to be the breadwinner. Ma'am. He lived with his mother. And I was like, girl, get out my DMs, girl. That's what I'm saying. Like easy. And then he was pretty upset when I broke up with him, but I get it. It hurts to be rejected. But sir, I didn't really tell him face to face. I actually told him over the phone later because I wasn't about to be trapped in a room with him. I wasn't about to be like trapped on a date with him. You know what I'm saying? But like that kind of stuff cracks me up. Like when the man has the audacity to say, I want to be the breadwinner, but I don't make any bread. Okay, well, I'm about to go hungry. I'm about to go hungry. And you know what I'm like, hangry, girls. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Absolutely not. Crazy. Just ridiculous. Chet says, I need advice on finding a therapist. I thought I found one, but the sesh then ghosted me. Had a sesh then ghosted me. It was a lot even telling them why I'm there. Didn't think about that part and how I'll probably have to do that many times. Yeah. It's really difficult because I was really lucky that I found my ideal therapist within a few sessions of going to different therapists. But, well, it was like seven or so times. But like one therapist, basically, 2 max. And then I emailed a bunch. So I'm really lucky, but I do think it can take time. I know friends of mine have taken a long time to find an ideal therapist. There are people, just remember, therapists are you with a job. That's all a therapist is. A therapist is you with a job who went to school for this thing, just like everybody else. Your doctor is just you with a job. Trump is just you with a job. You know? I think sometimes we forget, like, all these people in positions of, quote, power, they're just us with a job. Like, they're not, remember AOC was a bartender before, you know what I mean? Like, they're just people with jobs. So treat them accordingly and just remember that, yes, your therapist might be human enough to ghost you, which is kind of crazy, but it can happen. It can happen. But be aggressive and be blunt and be very business about it. Like, I'm looking for this person. This is what I need. What can you offer me? And fingers crossed, bro. I wish I could give you more advice than that, Yeah. Chet says, are you taking video requests for stream today? I don't normally, but if you put it in the chat and it looks interesting, I might watch it. I mean, you can also put it in the Discord. It depends. Today was usually when I come into stream, I have an idea of what I want to talk about, and then that's it. And my brain has like no more capacity usually. And then I feel pretty good. That's why I'm like not trying to watch some videos right now. Cause like I knew what I wanted to talk about. I came in, I talked about it. Cohesive, Kyle with the super chat, let's go, says, hold on here. It's similar to finding the right medication, involves trial and error for what works for you. I agree. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. It says, Britt, how do you make your bangs stay down? Stay down? As opposed to what? As opposed to stay down? I mean, that's just like how they're weighted. Just stay down. I don't know. I just finger curl them down. Mine go up in the air. Are they long enough? Because they might not be long enough. Look how long my bangs are. Look, my bangs go all the way down right here. And then they go up. Especially if you have curly bangs or any bangs, you have to have the weight of your bangs be able to push them down. So like, unless you have very specific straight hair, like fringe is going to be harder. But like, if your bang is too short, it won't have the weight of it. So like, make sure they're not, that's why you have to be really careful with curly hair. I mean, look how long, right? Look how long my bangs are. And then they float all the way up to my eyebrow. This is the real science of curly hair over here. Also, product helps. Like, product helps weigh them down, Yeah. Chet says, I know we mentioned health and disability and deconstructing. Elliot saying, we like Elliot saying, wear a mask. It's disability advocacy and solidarity focus. We do like Elliot saying here. Biggest tip for hair growth, cut those split ends off, girls. 3 to 4 inches. Cut them off. Cut them off. Cut them off. Brittany, how long before you could tell the collagen was working? I've been taking mine for a month now. So collagen shows best results usually within 3 to 6 months. I felt like I saw mine after about 4 or 5. And now that I've been vegan and vegetarian, I've been off my collagen. And I will say that I feel like I'm seeing differences already, but maybe I'm making it up in my head. But that's interesting to me. My siblings who were on collagen did tell me that if I got off it, my nails would start breaking. And they did. So they did. And I'm not sure. Like, they're still okay. They're still doing okay. But I did start to see a difference. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if I made it up in my head because I've only been off it for like, 40 days or something. There is natural collagen in a lot of vegetables, but you know, it could be different. I don't know. Some people think collagen helps, some people don't think it does, but they say you need to be on it for a while before you actually see improvement. You know? Kat says, do you sleep with a bonnet? I don't really, not often. Only when I feel like I want to. But I wet my hair every day, so I'm not one of those people who can just like wake up and spray some water in her hair and it looks cute. I always have to like re-soak my hair, honestly. I don't wash it, but I re-soak it, you know? But yeah, not collagen is interesting because I love bone broths. I love everything. And like again, I'm vegan right now. I've been doing this 30-day challenge. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens, which also is kind of one of those things where I really have been loving this like vegan philosophical conversation. But man, we like my body benefits so much from having like these animal products, which is so interesting. Is the vanity of my health, is that better than the life of this animal? You know? Kind of interesting. Discord says collagen is a game changer for me. My hair is so much better. My lashes have thickened. I believe you. I believe you. How's the wife? She's doing great. Doing great. Everything's great. Croatia's great. It's cold as F over here right now, bros. It's gloomy. It's gloomy and it's cold. It's like 4 degrees Celsius, which is cold for me. You know, it's beautiful though. Everything's good. I'm getting close to renewing my visa, which is exciting. So that's exciting stuff. Everything's going good though. Yeah. Yeah, vegan, question mark. I used to do it for ethical reasons. My nails and hairs suffered. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Well, and I think that's why I've been really interested in like Native American or indigenous history in relation to having a positive symbiotic relationship with life and death in animal culture and sort of trying to understand from their perspective why they sort of practice a relationship with the animals as like spiritual and a part of the cycle where they use every part of the animal. They have a relationship, and not to like generalize, you know, all these cultures, but generally that idea is very fascinating to me, where vegans they don't give a fuck. Like they're like, no, there is no such thing as a healthy relationship with an animal you kill, which is, you know, I mean, I get it. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like that with some vegans, that idea is very interesting to me. Yeah, I'm very excited to finish doing my research and feel, you know, to come to some conclusions by the end of it. And even my partner doesn't know. Literally, my partner is always like, so are you going vegan after this or not? And I was like, who knows? Who knows what future Brittany will do? I don't know. I'm not done with my journey yet. It's not 30 days. I'm not done with the research. I don't know what I'll do. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out though. We'll find out, girls. Yeah. Kat says maybe eat more vegan foods with high collagen. For sure. I have a list. I've definitely been trying to eat more. And you know what? Even with like chickpeas are really good for the skin, and a lot of like I mean, I will just say, like, not to be TMI, but like my time in the bathroom has been fabulous since I've been eating more vegetables. I just have one of those very American mindsets my whole life where meat was the primary focus of my dish, where I would very much struggle to add like fruits and vegetables into my diet. And now I'm like so fruits and vegetables that I'm like, oh yeah, fiber really been missing from my diet. Let me tell you, I'm one of those basic Americans who has really been suffering, which is very common. A lot of meat eaters suffer from a lack of fiber and actually, funny enough, a lack of B12, you know? So I've been focusing on it for sure. It's been great though. I feel like my body's been just wonderful. My fibro is doing a lot better. I really think taking out dairy has changed everything. You know, I'm still going to want dairy on occasion probably, but like also it's kind of like, you know, I have a brother who's lactose intolerant and he always says like, I'm not going to eat that, but I might eat it if I have a lactose pill, or I might eat it and put up with it. Sometimes we eat things we're not supposed to just because we want it in the moment. So I think I'll probably make similar to where 99% of my diet is like good, but maybe on occasion I have something that inflames me. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. Kat says it would be a lot harder to be vegan without modern food products. What do you imagine when you say that? What modern food product? What are modern food products? Like, what does that mean? Discord said, now that's what I call suffering wisely. True. pick and choose your suffering. You know what I'm saying? And accept some suffering is involuntary, you know? Kat says, I went on a similar journey years ago and landed on vegetarianism while trying to reduce my animal consumption as well. Love that. Yeah, I love that. Like Native Americans who didn't have large scale agriculture and global trade. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's the other thing that plays into it. We talked about it the other day, a form of harm reduction that we might be good for us, but might be hard to do, is actually accepting that we're only going to eat things grown locally or within our natural environment, which means some of us live in places that don't actually have the right amount of food for us. So we'd actually have to migrate somewhere else, which is like a very interesting idea. The problem is the world doesn't work together. Like world governments are businesses, and those businesses represent basically their clientele, if you will. And those businesses work to make money and gain stability through trade. And so it's difficult to ask the world as a whole to work together when they basically are always like possibly at war with each other, which I can't fault governments for being, as they are a reflection of us. Like governments at the end of the day, I truly believe are a reflection of us. There's just too many of us and not enough of them. And we cannot all move as one entity enough to make it clear to them what we expect, which is why they can get away with what they get away with, because like we're now moving cohesively. Like it's a numbers game. Like I feel like in terms of math, we have the benefit and we're not utilizing it. And that's a part of radical acceptance as well. Part of my journey of radical acceptance was accepting no matter how loud you shouted, people weren't going to work together. Because people can't. Look at your own family dynamics. I can't get my family to work together because there are belief systems and perceptions blocking them from being able to see the other as people they can work with. To an extent, they can work enough with them, not to murder them, but they can't work with them enough to like not try to stop the other from existing in terms of like legal representation. So there's like a disconnect that happens, you know? Even like an example with the military, could you imagine the audacity of people saying like not enough people respect the military? Then there's 50,000 trans soldiers in the military you want to discharge for being trans. They're willing to put their lives on the line to fight for this fucking country. You know what I mean? It's like, pick and choose. You're so mad progressives don't like the military. The moment trans people join the military, you're like, not them. I'm sorry. Are their bodies not as good as your bodies to die in your fucking genocide or your wars or your bullshit? I guess not. You know? And I know this sounds silly to people who are like, well, fuck the military. I don't want to be a part of it. That's not the point, guys. The point is you should be able to do it if you want to. They shouldn't be able to discriminate against your ability to exist in the fighting force or in the military, which has a lot of like, I mean, we put so much resource into that, you know, bubble. The idea that we wouldn't be a part of it is the discrimination you don't want. The choice is what you want. We want to give people choices. And the fact that your own family members are willing to vote against your choice is the point. You know? Chad says, actually, indigenous people did have large-scale food production. Oh, that was in response to chat saying Native Americans who didn't have large-scale agriculture and global trade. Did Native Americans in America have global trade? I didn't know that. Are you saying they did? Indigenous people did have large? Do you mean indigenous like Native American or indigenous meaning other indigenous cultures around the world? Because I think those are, Native Americans and indigenous isn't indigenous an umbrella term for specific groups of people around the world, and Native American is specific to Native Americans, right? Discourse said it's so nice being in chat. I live in rural America at a tax office, and it lends to so much political comment. Oh, you know what, girl? Let's go. Chat says they had local large-scale production. I assume the person just means not global. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, this isn't my bubble. I don't know much about it, but I love it. Indigenous is universal. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Not global trade in North America. Sorry, but there was a large scale food. Yeah, fascinating. I didn't know that. Love that. All right, girly gays. Questions, thoughts, ideas. Bring them coming or we're ending stream. Come or I'll end this stream. I almost said Ethan. Oh, it's such a relief not to think about Trisha or Ethan anymore. But also, what am I going to do my Jordan Peterson impression now? Ethan! Ethan! Okay. Ethan, listen to me, Ethan. Can't always be about you, Ethan. And this is the end of our show. I'll come back on Tuesday. No? You need a new trigger word? I do. I need a new trigger word that's like Machiavellian mothers. These Machiavellian mothers and their trans daughters. What are we gonna do? You know? Oh, what do you mean by this? Where are you currently on the materialistic idealistic spectrum? Idealist spectrum? What do you mean by that? Is that for me? Is that question for me? What does that mean? What, can you explain that to me? I want to answer. No? I want to know what that means. I want to know what that means. It is for me. Where are you currently on the materialistic idealist spectrum? Like in terms of consumption? Like in terms of how I consume? Or in terms of like what I own? I do want to watch that chat. It says other video recommendations could be Rowan Ellis's Ugly is Evil. I do want to watch that. I do want to watch that. That'd be so interesting. I don't think I understand. That says I think philosophically materialistic, meaning where does your current belief around reality lie? Are you more materialistic in belief or idealistic? Oh. Hold on, I'm going to need definitions because I want to say both. The key difference between materialism and idealism is their view of reality. Materialism emphasizes the material world and the physical laws of nature, where idealism emphasizes the mental and spiritual world and the power of thought. I really do think it's both. Like, I really do think reality is how we perceive it through the spiritual lens and limited by the physical, but yet not limited by the physical because the spiritual goes beyond it. You know what I mean? I really do believe that. Like, I kind of obnoxious how much I believe that. Hold on, let me pull it up for chat so they can read it in case you're visual learners. In case you're visual learners. Huh. There it is. Why isn't this working? Yeah, like it's how do I say this? I think in my personal practice, my personal understanding of reality is I do think everything is provable through the material and the physical laws of nature and all that stuff. I just don't think we understand it enough to realize it also exists outside of it. Like the metaphysics is so fascinating to me, right? And I feel like there's something about that. I think we have such a limited understanding of reality that we can only attach it to what we've been taught. But I think the thing we're missing is a thing we don't know yet. I just don't think we know. I genuinely don't think we know. Chess says, what is spiritualism to you if not connected to a faith? And what do you have faith in? Might be a better question. Spirituality to me is metaphysics. Spirituality to me does not need to be attached to something bigger than yourself that is like a religious entity or a faith entity, but instead bigger than yourself, meaning a misunderstanding of logic, like of knowing. I think we do not know that the world is bigger than us. I think we really do think it's about us. Like, I genuinely think human beings are completely convinced that we are the main character and we're not the main character. And I think we have to think we're the main character because it just makes sense to our biological experience, like how we evolved. But I think when we have that relationship with evolution that allows us to know more, we're able to recognize we're not the main character. Vegans talk about this all the time, how people think they're the main character and they're not. But I mean to say, literally throughout the universe, we're not. We're not the main character. We're just a part of it. We're just one part of the soup. And it's exciting and it's specific and individualistic, but we're not the main character. We only think we are because of how perception works, right? That says, when you say we don't understand it enough, do you mean as a group we haven't come to a solid consensus yet globally? I mean everything, as people, individually, and as groups. I don't know it. Do you know it? Like, I don't know it. I have no idea what's universally true about the universe. I don't even know I don't know that. Do you know it? Do you have the answers? Like, I don't have those answers. I don't see the data on it. I'm not seeing it from people. Sometimes I will get emails from people. They're like 10 pages long, bros. I do not read those. Please get it together. And they're like, Brittany, you're so close. But when you get to the 10th dimension, you'll be able to travel through time. Girl, sit down. If you can travel through time, you better not be telling me. Like I always say, if I could travel through time, I'm not telling any of you. That's a crazy thing to get on stream and admit. But that's kind of how religious people are. Did you see that girl in Jubilee who literally said Jesus Christ visited her? Girl, if Jesus Christ visited you, why are you telling anybody except the Pope or your Christian leaders? Like, why are you out here telling Jubilee Jesus visited you? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't correlate to what I think is real. When I know things are real, there's like a logic behind them or a reasoning that says to me, like, okay, now within a reason, when would I share this information with others? Not to hoard it, but to be aware of the fact that if I know it and other people find out about it, they might, as they often do, kill me because they think I'm crazy. Like, why would I put my life at risk to tell the world, like, I can fly? That don't make no sense. You know, that don't make no sense. You know? Chad says, if Jesus visited me, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs. There would be. Hey, maybe that's it. Maybe there would be signs. I think the truth of the universe is currently unknowable as a whole. I think globally, parts of people know parts of it, but I don't think we know it. Like, people really think they know the universe, like they know the answers to the universe. But I don't think we know that. Maybe I haven't read enough books. Maybe I haven't seen enough documentaries. Maybe I haven't listened to enough lectures, but I'm not getting into any indication that humanity as a whole has this information, or certain groups have all the answers. I feel like every time I learn about a new group of people, they have partial answers, and I'm just here to collect all the pieces. And I think one day, maybe that puzzle will be whole. I don't think it will be in my lifetime. Maybe it will be never, but I do think there could be a puzzle to make whole. I really do believe that. So I'm in my research journey. For the next rest of my life, I'm just going to be researching and learning and being curious and open. And, yeah. That says, I guess I'm asking more in a probabilistic way. What would you more likely put money on? And in your beliefs in relation to consciousness before matter versus matter before consciousness? That's a great question. Well, what do you mean by probabilistic? I'm just kidding. What do you mean by matter versus before consciousness? I just make a Jordan Peterson jokes. I would say I would make a bet. Okay, well, when we say matter before consciousness, and maybe I'm wrong, but my brain hears that as the universe existing without consciousness rather than the universe existing because of consciousness. And rather, there would have been a time in which it was just matter without consciousness, but what is consciousness? So I struggle to think of matter without consciousness. Right? Chat says muted. I'm not muted. Reset your streams, guys. Hopefully JJ can hear me. Girl, I am. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, I was just thinking and I was silent for a while. Yeah, I think. Right, Kay? Is that what you're saying? Like, is there matter without consciousness? Is really the question I would ask myself. And then I would ask myself, because I don't know what came. I don't know if there was a before so much as what there is. Like, I think the universe exists outside of perception. So I assume if all the humans died, everything would still exist. And that thing that still exists is what's interesting to me. But I can't know that since it only exists through my perception. But I'm assuming when I die, y'all will keep moving on with your life. That's what I'm assuming. But wouldn't it be so funny if when I die, you also die? That'd be pretty funny. Right? So for me, I think, here's what I believe. Here's what I believe right now, but I don't know. I believe the universe exists in the way that we conceptualize it, but beyond our ability to conceptualize it. I think we are one small dot in this whole grand universe that has one way to conceptualize reality, and it doesn't revolve around us. I think even assuming we're the only planet with life is a little bit too main character for me. I don't really believe that, but without needing to believe in aliens, which I think is the wrong way to see them, I think the way we conceptualize aliens is so silly. It just doesn't make any sense to my brain. It's just like aliens are things that are not us, but everything that is them could be us. Like, we're all just a part of the same universe. It doesn't matter. But I think that there is life outside of us. I don't think it's a god, but if it is a godlike character, it would be a godlike character that makes sense within the mechanism of the universe. And whether it is spiritual means or not, it would exist logically. It's very much like if anime was real, it would be believable. And I think that could make sense. But I'm not saying it is true. I'm saying I don't blame people for believing in God and religion or magic or anything else. I'm saying I'm surprised that you revolve your life around something that's so specifically unproven. But also I kind of like that you're giving yourself a chance to think about things a certain way, even though it's limiting and yet open-minded at the same time. Like, it's kind of open-minded to believe in a God. And yet it makes you so closed-minded because of the way that men write about God. Like, the irony is, like, humans are the thing that limit our belief in magic. But a belief in magic is not the proof of magic, right? Jess says, I'm thinking way faster than YouTube character limit allows me to express. Post it on Discord. But like, I think whatever is true, and I'm not here to be mad about the truth. I think what I would love is to see society become so much more curious about what could be true and excited to discover it instead of worrying about whether or not their God is real. You know, like, I want you to be open-minded enough to believe in a God, but not closed-minded enough to think you discovered the only one there could be. Because you don't know that. I want you to be open-minded enough to like be gender fluid, but not closed-minded enough to think that your experience of gender is the only one. I want everyone to be as open-minded as it makes sense for, and as like resilient to bad ideas as we can be, you know, but we're lacking in curiosity. Like, we're lacking in the openness. Then look, I really do think human beings are better than the arguments we've been posing to one another. Because every time I talk about not being closed-minded, you know, there's somebody in the universe that's like, so are you open-minded to child marriages? And I'm like, I'm open-minded to the fact that they happened and that we should stop them from continuing. And I'm open-minded to the fact that some of them might have occurred by people who did not have bad intentions, but by most people who did. And we need to stop them from happening instead of saying, well, it worked out then. Here's my theory about, and this hits home to my family since there were child marriages in my family. Here's the feeling I get from people. They can't admit that child marriages were bad, because if they admit that, then they'd have to admit the people in their life that they felt like were good were bad people. And instead, I'd like to say, and this is what I think is true, that good people do bad things, and that it takes a better person to stop doing those bad things, which makes them an even better person. It's about saying, we did this in the past, but we learned and got better. And instead of throwing out the baby with the bathwater, I think we should just stop it. But instead of stopping that cycle, they go, we have to continue it. Or maybe the mob will come for us. Or maybe someone will come for us. Or maybe they're going to come for our loved ones. Look, I don't want the mob coming for my loved ones either. But I also want my loved ones to get their shit together and stop this continuous cycle of justifying like child marriage, you know, or saying, well, it happened in the past, so maybe it worked. Just a reminder that people in the past were just like you and me. They were just as smart as you and me, guys. They were not different from us. And they came to the same logical conclusion then as we keep doing now, which is this justification of like child marriages. And it's uplifted and continued through the belief of Abrahamic religions. Like, that's the irony too. is Abrahamic religions be all about child marriages. Y'all need to stop. But they can't, because it's too important to them. Their whole reality is baked into this reality, which I do have a lot of empathy for. But that's why I'm like, pop the bubble. Just pop it enough. I always say I assume my parents will die Catholic and homophobic. It would be so shocking to me if my parents and their 3 gay kids was enough for my parents to eventually realize, like, maybe this religion's the problem. That would be crazy. That would be so improbable. I don't even think about it anymore. I used to hope for it when I was a kid, but you want to talk about probability? It is more likely we discover there's magic in the universe than my parents stop being homophobic. But my dad threw a mean barbecue, and my mom is a great gift giver. They're great. When you have problems and you need someone to listen, they're fantastic. Usually, it depends. It depends on which child you ask. My parents are really good people who do a lot of fucking bad shit via voting. The worst shit my parents do comes down to the ballot. The worst shit my parents do comes down to their denial that the candidate they voted for is as bad as they say. And it's not just a CNN propaganda that's making you convinced that it's all a lie or a smear campaign. But I love that God gave them 3 gay kids. I'm waiting for the rest to come out. You know what I mean? But I am excited. I think and this is really what I want my work to be focused on moving forward for the year. I really need to remind people, I know what the world thinks about you. I'm asking you what you think about you. Because sometimes we'll have conversations on my channel, and even with people in my life where they're like, yeah, but you can't ignore that part of you, Brittany. The world's going to hold you accountable, or the world's going to hold it against you. We know that. Fuck the world. Pay attention to it when it comes down to surviving. But I'm asking you if you're willing to have a different relationship with yourself. If your happiness is going to be defined by the world, you might as well give up now. The world has no happiness for you. And that's why people do want to unalive. That's why people give up. That's why people feel beaten down. If our happiness is reliant on other people, we're fucking cooked. So with peace and love, our joy has nothing to do with other people. But yet, in order to learn what our joy is, we usually need other people. And these things are different things. My joy exists outside of the people I know. But while I was on that journey of finding out what that joy was, it came from a lot of interactions with people, right? Discord says, I would love if this conversation could be a Discord event. I have a lot to say, but I largely agree with you. I think there's a difference in how we relate to this topic is literally just bubble differences. I think there is more that is knowable to us than we give credit. I think our mainstream methodologies for discovery in the past, even largely now, have only shown us certain percent of the picture. And there are people who are using methodology. Am I saying that right? That are more holistic and empirical based, that are giving us more clarity than before. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we should have a Discord event. We can add this to the Discord 101 event and talk about it there for March. At the end of March, we have a Discord 101 event. We can talk about it more there. You guys can get on VC and use your microphones. But I think, are you talking, because I was curious, because I noticed that you shared a lot of videos in the Discord and I've been watching some of them. Are you referencing like some of those videos? Because I will say, like, as I watch some people talk about the things they've discovered, I do find the language difficult for my brain to like, not comprehend, but to get on board with sometimes, where I do think there are people discovering things, but I think they're discovering it in a way that isn't being communicated in a way that I think makes me feel confident that we're saying the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it feels a little bit like I went on a very specific journey. I had a very specific relationship with reality, but I wanted to be the most grounded, logical, like, reality. I don't want to get swept up in a belief. And sometimes I see people talk about these subject matters and it's a little bit too beliefy. And I don't like that as much, because you might as well just be religious. Like, I need there to be some concrete understanding of how we got to this understanding, though I know we don't always have the language for it. And look, because I don't have the language for it, I often don't share it, because again, it just can bring more negative than positive. Sometimes I think my job right now is to experience, is to document, is to keep in mind without like necessarily sharing it with the world until I can give them a more digestible way of understanding. I mean, the world can't, on a whole, people have the problem with the levels. Like, Jesus, you can't, you know what I mean? The levels are so fucking basic to me that if the levels are making people confused, could you imagine if we actually talked about like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get people to digest like the possibility that their life might be a construct. And then all of a sudden there's like, so I think some people in the world are past that and they're doing better research into bigger things, which I think is so great. I just think sometimes I wonder if they're saying the same things I'm saying because they're using language that I need to translate. But yeah, it's a great conversation. I definitely love it. Chat says agreed. I don't know which videos in particular you're referring to, but I think what I see in all of these things is what is shared in perception amongst all the various perceptions, of course. And that is ultimately true too. Like ultimately, I think we are probably all having like similar relationships with reality, but using different language to translate. Like I love John Vervaeke, but even when he talks, I have to like have a Vervaeke dictionary to translate the same way people feel with me, where it's like, oh, Britney's dictionary. I have to do that with other people too. I'm like, okay, hold on. He said this word, which I think means this word. And if I translate it into Britney speak, it means this word. So sometimes when I'm listening to people, I have to like sit there and translate as I'm listening to them. And then I'm worried I've mistranslated them. And then we're not saying the same thing, you know? Yeah. It's kind of cool. I mean, this is, yeah. Okay, Discord says I do that with everyone. I do that too. So ultimately, this is what I mean by my research era. I'm in this research era where I'm just listening to people and reading and trying to figure out what they discovered and what their degrees led them to and what their life led them to and what their lived experience led them to. And I'm trying to put it up against my lived experience. I'm definitely the human having the lived experience without the like proper school classroom experience. Like a lot of academics I listen to explain it differently, but I'm having just like the normal person experience, which puts me at odds with sort of like this academic background, even though I'm very well read. So I always have to like translate from academic bubbles, like down to my level. But yet we're having I think the same experiences. We're just coming from different perceptions. So even that changes the perspective. Like, I don't think the academic background is giving them a better relationship with the perspective. I just think we're using different language to explain it, but we might be having the same experience maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm fascinated by it, though. I just watched this short clip from Vervaeke where he was explaining an experience, and I was just thinking, like, like, yeah, this is gonna set so well with some people. With other people, it might be more digestible, right? Maybe. Chad says academia is also very rigid. Well, not the academics I'm talking about. These people be fluid as fuck. Vervaeke fluid as fuck. That's what I'm saying. Like, Vervaeke's not rigid. That's why he's so fascinating to me, because he's academia, but he's fucking loosey-goosey, baby. He's jello-wello. He's fucking, you know, like he's so not, he's academia that isn't academia. It's very interesting. Like he's so obviously academia, but not. Like he's I can't even explain it. Different bubbles of academia, right? Chad says that's why I'm bad at referencing and remembering names. I'm literally just observing and synthesizing information neutrally and coming to my own conclusions based on them to build the model of my reality. Totally true. Yeah. Chad says define bridging. I've never heard of that. Like burning bridges? Bridging? Also like definition bridging? Like burning bridges? What are you guys talking about in YouTube chat? I was focused on Discord chat. That says, for me, you're really good at verbalizing things I can only attempt to, but that's the thoughts I'm having. I mean, same. I mean, I hope so. Sometimes I watch people, I'm like, man, they just said that so beautifully, bro. What's bridging? Are you guys talking about like burning bridges? I'm just reading chat. That says I'd be interested in hearing the parts that lose you in those conversations and why they lose you. Yeah, I think it's the, they just sound crazy. They don't say it in a matter-of-fact way. They say it in a way that I'm like, bro, can I just talk to somebody that doesn't fucking sound crazy? But also, they don't sound crazy. They just sound like they're losing themselves to the experience. That's when I start to get like I don't want to talk to people who are losing themselves. You know how like meditation can lead to psychosis? I don't want to talk to people who have lost themselves to psychosis because they meditated too hard. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be as grounded as possible. And sometimes when I listen to people have conversations about this, like, if they don't sound grounded to me, I'm not interested. Like, maybe I'm too, this is my autism, where I'm like, I want to be very matter of fact, but I also am not accusing them of going crazy. I just think the way they're translating or sharing stories sometimes comes off too, you know, but I get it. I've gotten the same criticism. Like, people say that about me, like, Brittany sounds crazy. I feel like I'm educated enough not to assume people are crazy. But also I think maybe I feel like the videos aren't meant for public consumption sometimes. Maybe I feel like sometimes when people make videos, maybe it shouldn't be on the internet, but then maybe it should be. I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't think it matters. You know? I don't think it matters. Like, at the end of the day, it's an experience and we're all sharing and we're all putting our voices out there. Yeah, I think I do agree, though, when I listen to them explain the experience. I do agree with the experience, but I don't agree with how they're expressing the experience, which makes me question if we're talking about the same thing. That's what throws me. Because when I hear the stories, I go, yeah, I know what he's talking about. And then I'll hear something else and I'll say, like, okay, well, maybe not that. But then maybe that's just the language barrier, which I think might be what it is. I'll get into it. We should have a Discord event, or maybe I can put together a video for members about this stuff. Because I do feel like sometimes on YouTube, like, this is why philosophy is so niche. And I mean this in the nicest way possible. I'm also kind of sick of dealing with crazy people. Like, this is just a very Britney thing where I'm kind of tired of dealing with crazy people. Can I please have somebody who's grounded and also interested and like curious? I'm kind of just like exhausted by dealing with anyone who's crazy. So like, I want to make sure that we're talking about the same things, but maybe that's why I'm in my, like, maybe going more towards my isolated research era, where I just want to know what's factual, what's true. I don't want to start getting fucking told I'm going to time travel by somebody because they fucking lost their brain while they were researching. You know, like, if you can time travel, show me, bitch, or shut the fuck up. Because it's crazy to tell someone I can time travel and you're not, you know what I'm saying? Just saying it out loud is crazy. You can't say things like, I can time travel. Okay, I'm going to need this. You know what I mean? I'm going to need the data, because otherwise get out of my fucking DMs. You know? Chat says crazy, meaning ungrounded or not based in reality. I mean, either or. It could depend on the situation. Some people sound genuinely like they lost their mind to psychosis, right? Some people sound like, okay, like not all religious people are having a psychotic experience, but some religious people are under psychosis. So like the DSM, I watched a mental health professional talk about the DSM and why religions aren't considered insanity. And it's because it's in relation to functionality within your life. Right? So the reason that if I retook my BPD test now, I probably wouldn't be diagnosed borderline is because I'm functional within my life and nothing is ruining my life. Like, usually the reason we know you have like a diagnosis, because it's a construct, is the way that it helps you in relation to functionality. So usually the way that I focus on someone's, like, what they're trying to tell me is I'm usually trying to figure out how functional something is or how dysfunctional something is. So if somebody comes to me and is telling me about their relationship and it just sounds dysfunctional, I'm going to be like, okay, this is a dysfunctional relationship. They're communicating to me that it has problems, it's not working, while they're saying how much they love it. Something you love doesn't make it workable or functional. So I think it could be either or, and I just try to categorize it accordingly. Like, not all religious people I meet are insane, crazy psychosis, but some of them can be dysfunctional, ungrounded, crazy. Maybe crazy is a difficult word. I should use something else. Not that I think it's offensive, but I think sometimes it's misunderstood, even though the context I think is clear, but also it can be, you know. That says, I totally understand. Like, it's at a point where I can give someone basic human dignity and respect without entertaining them. Yeah, and I want everybody to feel dignified in their belief systems. But I think I'm at the point in my life where I genuinely think there's possibly like a real objective out there. And I'd kind of like to find it or get closer to it. And I don't want to get lost in people's desire to have me in their bubble. Like, I love the vegan bubble so far. It's so fun. But with peace and love, I can already tell you this, it doesn't have all the answers. And it never was going to, but I think it has some of them. And that's exciting for me because I never went down the vegan bubble as a philosophy. And now that I have, I'm like, oh, there's some answers here, but not all the answers. The problem is like when you hear vegan speakers, they speak as if it is the answer. I can't play games with you right now. Like, I can't like be so for real right now. I cannot play games with people that think they have the answer for all of humanity when we just don't have that information. So all we're relying on is our lived experience. So, you know, a lot of people don't know this about therapy. And therapy only works because you tell your therapist what's wrong with you. That's how it works. Kind of like when you go to the doctor says, what's wrong with you? And then you tell the doctor what's wrong with you. And the doctors use that information to come up with a diagnosis. It's a symbiotic relationship. So this idea that like, oh, what did your doctor say it was? Well, is your doctor listening to you? Are they utilizing your story as well? A doctor who doesn't listen to you or take your information into consideration isn't being a good doctor. A good doctor works in symbiosis with you, works in conjunction with you as a team to figure out what's wrong with you because you have the lived experience that, you know, so all of our lived experiences are like that right now, where we're all telling the universe, let's say the universe is like a doctor, all of our discoveries. And the doctor is trying to come to a consensus, except the doctor that some of the bubbles has decided is like a god or like their philosophy. And it's like, the doctor is not the answer. Our doctors are not the end all be all. They're just people with jobs. But they're people with jobs who have sort of the answer. We use their knowledge and our knowledge to come up with the actual answer. You know? And I think that's how the whole universe works. And people don't think that's how it works. They think one doctor has the answer, one religion has the answer, one belief system has the answer, one person has the answer. They believe it's like limited. Yeah. And then how we use words is so specific, you know? Chad says, I think the reason I'm so sympathetic and understanding of these people that use language I wouldn't to explain their experiences is because when my bubble got popped into these metaphysical, esoteric topics was through scientific, philosophical, and empirical lenses. So I guess I got all the tools necessary to contextualize all of these ideas more accurately for my own world model that grounded me. For sure. I think I think I do have a preference for how information is conveyed to my brain. And I do prefer the way certain people talk over others. And I don't think they're exclusive. Like, I don't think you have to jump into those bubbles to have the conversations. But I do wish those bubbles had the conversations differently so I could enjoy them more. But I still listen and I still research it. I just don't enjoy it as much because it does make me always feel like I'm on edge a bit sometimes, where I'm like, what are you talking about, buddy? I want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, what are you talking about? You know? But that's also because I really do know how easy it is for human beings to create myth in their mind. Like, it is so easy for us to hold on to non-truth. It is so easy for us to... Remember that conversation Matt Dillahunty and Jordan Peterson had about shrooms? And how Jordan was convinced the shrooms could be a god, and Dillahunty was... saying like, no, it's the shrooms. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to become Jordan Peterson, who's paranoid all the time and thinks like he's literally in crisis all the time. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in crisis because I discovered something about the universe. I think it should set you free. I think knowledge should set you free. I don't think it should make you insane. And so if anyone who's talking seems ungrounded to me, I'm going to assume they got lost somewhere in the mix, you know? Because I don't like it, you know? That says, do you think bubble language is related to learning style? Yes. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, the way you're raised, the way you're comfortable, the way you gravitate towards certain things. Yeah, for sure. Discord says, this convo is so interesting to me. It's just such a tease over the internet. If we were communicating more directly, I'd be asking for more context, because I do think we have very similar perceptions of reality. So we'd have to verify that through actual contextualizing and identifying our definitions. Like when you say they sound crazy, I'd ask who is they? What did they say that was crazy? Why is it crazy in your perception out of genuinely trying to establish a common context of understanding? I mean, for sure. We'll have it. We'll have a Discord event to talk about it. But yeah, I think it sounds like, again, it's like they're saying things out loud that they should have hesitation to say out loud if it's true. But I'll go grab some clips and stuff to reference it. But sometimes when they say things out loud, I was like, you shouldn't be saying this out loud if it's true. You know? And the fact that you're saying it out loud makes me question. Why are you saying this out loud if it's true? And, except in safe company. And like, what does that mean? And that's the problem, is like, even if it's true, to say it out loud is crazy. Does that kind of, like, it doesn't make sense to me why you're doing that. You know, sometimes it's those situations where I'm like, why would you say that out loud? Like, why would you make that decision? And if they say like, oh, I just want to share my wisdom with others, girl. That says, what do you mean truth out loud being crazy? I think the truth is really scary to people. And saying the truth out loud sometimes is crazy because of the consequences. And if you're not wise enough to take into consideration the consequences, I wonder how much you understand the truth of what you're expressing is. You know what I mean? Chat says, that sentence makes me think the things you're referring to are actually crazy statements that I'd agree are crazy. Yeah, probably. Right? But truth is scary. Like, truth is, like, saying the truth out loud is kind of crazy. Like, I mean, think about it as something really, really basic. Like, really basic. You're in a super transphobic home and somebody's like, I'd kill a tranny if I saw one. And then you say, well, I'm trans. That's a crazy thing to say out loud. Don't be saying that out loud. Are you sure you understand what you just said out loud? Like, don't be saying that out loud. You know, unless you're like, I'm ready to die today. Don't be trying to die today. You know, I think like sometimes people say things out loud, or I'm like, don't be saying this out loud, you know, because you're not in good company. You know, you're in like, don't be saying that. Like, are you sure you, because then it becomes like a little bit like somebody who's naive about the world, even when they're sharing the truth, is dangerous. You know, Chess says the first person should not say that out loud either. I mean, the first person should deconstruct their prejudice. But, you know, you can't just be out here telling transphobes that you're trans. You know what I mean? Like, survival, please. Because then I need to know, how, you know, grounded are we? You know what I'm saying? I just don't like it. But, like, truth out loud can feel very uncomfortable to people. Like, sometimes I think pro-choicers really struggle with this as well. That I don't struggle with this. I've been very consistent about my stance on abortion for a very long time. I have no problem saying like terminating a fetus is terminating a baby in progress. I believe in terminating life. I believe forms of violence can be justified. I think it's a form of harm reduction. I think like sometimes like the truth is scary out loud, but also it's not really a baby until it's a baby. At one point, it's just like a little cluster of cells, which also pisses off the pro-lifers because the pro-lifers don't want to admit, like, first it's a clump of cells. Then those cells become and form what we call a baby. And it's those two narratives that I think both groups really fucking have a problem with that I don't have a problem with because I know how babies are made. Like, I feel like people don't understand how babies are made. Human beings, all life that makes babies the way we make babies, like, it's the same thing. Like, you know, when they take lobsters and they'll show like all their eggs, or take a fish and they'll show all their eggs or something. And people just go, oh yeah, I'm going to eat that caviar. We take babies out of fish and eat it. And you have the audacity to be like, I'm pro-life. Pro-life, girl, you're eating a baby. You're eating a fetus right now. You're eating that fishy fetus. I think people just have a hard time. You know what I mean? Accepting that like we're doing both of those things. Like, I don't get lobsters. Let me tell you about lobsters. Listen, gay Jordan Peterson, you don't even know me. I'm not even gay. Listen, Tammy says I'm not gay. She tells me every day, Jordan, you're not gay. And I say, I'm not gay. I have gay Jordan Peterson in chat right now. You know, so yes, it's a, you know, there's just like stages to life and all of it is valid or invalid, or all of it is just what it is, you know? Yeah. That says, I think the dream predictions and projection when your soul is experiencing life outside of your body, these people know events they weren't there for is common enough not to say without fearing out loud. Yeah, that's like I can't yeah, that's interesting to my brain. Like, I don't think my dreams are predictions or anything else. I just think they're like my computer in like sleep mode, right? But some people think dreams are like predictions or you're talking to people. Like, look, I have crazy dreams, but I really don't think it's that deep. Like, okay, remember that bubble? Remember that bubble we were going down where I think it's I do think, I have a theory that neurodivergent people have very interesting brains, and neurotypicals have the audacity to believe in God, so I'm not saying they're better, but neurodivergents have the audacity to believe like in portals. Because remember that girl we watched who was convinced that she had another family with TV characters in another life? And she had she was married with kids. I forget what it's called. And I was like, no, there's no way you're having this experience. Reality shifting. Yeah, thank you, chat. And I was thinking about this, like, why do you think this is happening to you? And I do think it's like escapism, but I think it's the same people that think they're having like dreams that are sending them off in portals. So I was on stick with me here. I was on autistic TikTok and they were talking about how you dream. And I was like, oh, I dream very similar. I dream so vividly and so real that there is a person I see in my dreams. I've seen 3 times in my dreams. And every time we see each other, it's like they're a very real person. And I remember them and I'm like, how are you? Like, how have you been? And like time has gone by and we'll talk about it together. And I've only seen them 3 times since I was a child into adulthood. It's been about probably like 6 years since I've seen them, maybe longer, maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen them. But when I did see them, it felt like the most real experience of a real person who only lived in my dreams. But I know that's not real. I know it's just a thing that my brain is doing when I'm asleep. But I could see some bubbles being like, oh, that's like real. There is no part of me that thinks that's real life. There is 0 part of my brain that thinks it's real. But there are people who live their whole life thinking it's real, and they have a friend and it lives in their head. But like, I just don't think that that's what's happening at all. Like, no part of me. No. So I guess for me, like, I don't know. I think my brain just doesn't go to, this must be a real person. My brain goes to, oh, cool. Brains are cool. My brain just goes, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, brains are so cool. That's all I think. I never think it's real, you know? But I just know so many people get lost in how real it feels. So they think it's real. Or like drugs. I love doing drugs safely. And I love experiencing drug experiences. Like when I was on shrooms before I came to Europe, dude, it was fucking so realistic that I had to remind myself, like, you are high, you are on shrooms. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm on shrooms. Because I would forget that I was on shrooms. And then I'd be like, oh my God. Like, guys, the sky was beautiful. I kept seeing Luffy. I kept seeing the world reverse. So the sky was like an ocean and it was round. And I would see ships sailing around the clouds. And I would see like Luffy. And I would think like, what would Luffy do? And I was like, it was so beautiful. And I was so happy. And I was euphoric. And then I look at my friend and be like, oh my God, we were so euphoric. It was like, oh my God, this is the most, and then I'd be like, you're high, dude. You're literally fucking baked. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm on drugs. It was great. It was fucking good. It was like, and then all of a sudden the high would stop. I'd start getting like paranoid and I'd be like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I'd start panicking and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And he'd be like, you're on drugs, dude. I'm like, oh, I'm on drugs. I'm on drugs. And then all of a sudden I would see my friend and then I'd warp out of seeing my friend. I'd be like, fuck, I'm going to get pulled in again. And then I'd get sucked into another like fucking portal. And all of a sudden I was seeing like these like insect gods that were like, Brittany, come hang out with us. And I was like, no, bitch, I want to go back to paying my taxes and doing my job. And I was like, no, I can't hang out with you. I got to go back to my real life. And I wish I knew what I looked like while I was in those moments. Like, I wish I had filmed myself so I could see what I was doing. But I was like, all these like insect gods were like, Brittany, come play with us. Come play with us. And I was like, centipede ass, get out my brain. But I knew I was high. I told myself, I was like, you're on drugs. I got so sunburnt that day because I couldn't go inside the buildings. I had to stay outside because I was too claustrophobic. I got so fucking sunburnt. I got physically sick. But it was a great experience, you know? You know? It's like, I know that's not real. But I know for some people, they'd be like, that was real. And I'm like, it was really happening. But it exists because the drugs created it, not because that's how cool your brain is, dude. Like, that's how cool your brain is. But they attribute it to, like, wanting to live there all the time. Like, that's my nightmare. My nightmare is wanting to live there all the time. When I did, what's the one? What's the one? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the drugs I've done, guys. It's official. What's the drug that when you hit it? DMT. When I did DMT, I didn't really blast off. I half blasted off. So I blasted into this Aztec dance club. And I was like dancing with all these. I always get high about gods. And I was like dancing with all these gods. And they're like, hey, Brittany, what's up? I was like, hey. And they were like smothering me and wanting to like be hedonistic with us. Like, and my fear is hedonism. They're like, come, like, just like, we'll die dancing. Like, I knew I was going to die dancing if I went with them. So I didn't go with them. I was like, I need to get sober right now. And like, you know, I don't like the ungroundedness of it. Were they triangle people? They were like, kinda. They were like, where's the picture? They were kind of like, what's a good example? I've got some pretty, this one's a better example. They were kind of like this. Let me pull it up. They were kind of like this guy. They were kind of like him, but they looked like they got ripped out of the stone. So they were gray blue. So they weren't like color. They were like gray blue. They kind of looked like this a little bit, but they were like gray blue. So it looked like they were concrete. Oh, hold on. That's barely even showing it to you. So they were like gray blue and statuesque. And then they'd come out of the wall and like smother me and want me to dance with them. And I was like, I can't do this right now. You know? Yeah. Chat says, I feel like I'm always being, Discord says, I feel like I'm always being forced to defend the crazies when I ask for your definitions. This is part of when I ask, what do you define as real? Are you talking about physical matter exclusively, or real as in has an effect on your experience and life in a meaningful way? So you know how I say your feelings are real, but they might not be valid? Your experiences are real through your perception, but they might not be grounded in reality. Like they're a real experience, but they're not they're not reality, like real grounded reality. Like, yes, I'm high and I'm dancing with Aztec gods because I took drugs. So it's real, it's happening, but it doesn't exist outside of this perception. It's not real. Like, it's not something I can take back when I'm sober. It's not something that exists when I'm sober. It's not something that exists when I'm balanced. It's not something that it exists because I fucked with my chemistry. If fucking with my chemistry, you know, adds to perception, that's cool, but it's kind of like dreaming is real, it's happening, but it's not tangible outside of dreamland. You know? Chat says, but in your language, you use them interchangeably a lot. And I'm not sure if that's because you're trying to draw a clear line between having a grounded experience and having an ungrounded experience. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like I do switch around a lot. I could definitely be more thoughtful about exactly which one I mean and be consistent when I use them. You know, in your own head, you feel like you know exactly what you're saying. So when I talk, I feel like I know exactly what I'm trying to say. Real is real. People have a real relationship with God, but the realness isn't necessarily tangible. I am looking for tangible reality as the most real. And I think like there's a tangibility to even your feelings because we know we can study them in a sense. Like we know we have physical reactions to our feelings, but also we know people in comas who don't exhibit like a reaction can be living in their heads and hear everything around us. So I think I'm being, you know, I'm trying to say which one was it, but it just depends on the conversation, you know? Oh, Chet says that's funny. In the Middle Ages, a whole town danced themselves to death. I know about this. It's suspected that it was a result from mold, which could make sense. Mold on bread. Oh, which is similar to an LSD experience. I could believe it. When I learned about that town that kind of danced themselves to death, I always figured drugs or like some mind altering substance, right? When I'm talking about being grounded, I'm talking about being what's the most default reality? And then how do we add on to that reality? So you know how your core self is the most grounded part of you, and then you add on to that grounded self? Same thing with reality. Reality has a grounding, and then we add on to reality. I'm a person born into a field of flowers. I know nothing else. But then I see a bug flying or a caterpillar become a butterfly, and I don't know what to make of it. So I just make up a thing that, oh, it must have been like a magical thing that happened, and there's no actual reason for it. But there is a reason for it, and we know there's a reason for it. And so I have to be careful to say what the reason is and why it's happening. And the why is the change between grounded reality and not grounded reality. You know, we know why a caterpillar becomes a butterfly in grounded reality, but you could make up an ungrounded reason why that happens, right? So that's what I'm trying to focus on is like, okay, what is the correct answer? And what are we perceiving that's the most grounded? And then what are we adding onto that? So it's very grounded to know why caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And then maybe something that's grounded but adds on to it is, I think that butterfly is having a similar experience with life that I'm having, which could be grounded or it could be ungrounded depending on what you mean by it. Because there's no way for a butterfly to have the same experience I'm having, just like I can't have the experience the butterfly's having. But in which ways could we have similar experiences? Well, we could both suffer. We could both feel things. We could both have to eat. We could both have to sleep. We could both have to experience a lot of things that are very similar. And so I could say, oh, I'm much like the butterfly. But realistically, I'm nothing like the butterfly. And so it could be something grounded or ungrounded, depending on what the thing is we're talking about. Now, I could say ungroundedly, I'm exactly like the butterfly. I fly every night and I have cute wings and I'm a pretty little butterfly. Well, I don't know if you guys notice, I do not have wings. I am not a butterfly. So that would be like an ungrounded idea of literally thinking I am literally a butterfly. But then what is a butterfly, right? And I know people bring this up with like gender. What is gender? Why do trans people get to exist, but I can't be a butterfly? That's a great question. Except when you deconstruct gender and you're having an internal relationship with what is this thing that we've put words upon, you have to first admit that we made up the word man and woman. We made up this categorization system. So if we made it up and we took it away, what would that look like? And remember, gender is performative. So even trans people perform gender the way non-trans people do. Cis people perform gender. So the irony is like cis people aren't less likely to perform gender. You know how Trump recently said that any person in the military with gender dysphoria on their medical paperwork has to be discharged? Cis people have gender dysphoria. Cis people can have gender dysphoria. Like, that's the irony of it, is like, that's because they don't understand what it is. People don't understand what gender dysphoria is. They don't understand what it is to be trans. They don't understand gender. They think like, oh, that's an easy way to kick all the trans people out. Cis people about to be kicked out of the military, guys, because cis people can experience gender dysphoria. You know? Okay, let's see. Chad says, so then if somebody has a dream where someone gave them information that's actually impacts their life and experience, how they relate to it, would that be considered a real experience then? Well, it's just you giving yourself that experience. It's just you thinking. Thinking is a real experience. Like thinking is an experience. You're having an experience of thinking, right? So if you're in a dream, that's you talking to yourself and you're just thinking. Your dreams are manifestations of your own thoughts. So it's a real experience of you having an open forum dialogue with yourself through dreams. So that experience is real, but it's not real that a person who wasn't you gave you that information. That is you. Like that's the manifestation of your working brain manifested to look like or something else. It's like, you know, it comes in the form of a different person, but it's you. You like, so it's, you know what I mean? But you did not have the experience of actually somebody who is not you giving you information. You know? Like when I meditate and everything is through our perception. You cannot, that's why we're limited by our brain. And we're limited in a good way, bad way. Our brain is so capable. Our brain can do so many things, right? So what we think our brain can do is nowhere near what it can do. But it can do so many things, but I think we have to be considered about what that doing is, right? Yeah. Chat says our Discord says the hard part about that is the human mind can perceive anything in any way. That's how trauma registers differently person to person, but it's also extremely hard to parse through objective truth and reality when we are receiving a secondhand behavior, but we can never really be another person's mind. Exactly. 100. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No. Discord said, I think it's important to know that gender dysphoria order is not going to impact most cis people unless the individual has that diagnosis in their background or D-trans. Cis people can experience gender dysphoria, but things we'll call dysphoria in them are not pathologized. You know what I'm trying to say. And not seen as something that needs to be diagnosed. Oh, shit. Well, no. I mean, I didn't think it would, impact most cis people, right? But yeah. Oh, did you guys just notice the butterfly earrings? Because I forgot I was even wearing them. Thank you for the reminder. Look at me and my I do love butterflies. Look at me and my butterfly. I love butterflies. Very bisexual, very pansexual. That says my definition of magic is anything that stimulates your imagination. Could use inspiration instead, but doesn't give the same effect. Magic is also one of those words that makes my eye twitch a little bit when people use it. Because magic means so many things. Magic is a very diverse word. And so when people say like, oh, I believe in magic, like, I don't know what that means. So like, I don't know what you mean when you say it. I don't know what you mean when you say it to such an extent that this would be a dating question. Do you believe in magic? Because like, I don't think I could be with somebody who believed in magic the way that I think the world thinks of magic. In their different bubbles. I've yet to see a bubble that believes in magic in a way that my brain would actually verbalize I believe in magic. Like I always say, I don't believe in magic. Because I haven't found a bubble that expresses magic in a way that I think is reasonable. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Magic is such a funny word. But I don't mind if people believe in magic, right? Like people believe in gods, so I don't care. But it's one of those things where I don't know what they mean when they say it. Like, remember when Sneeko was talking to Dr. K? Sneeko said, oh, God told me. And Dr. K goes, oh, okay. Do you mean like God told you audibly or like in your mind? Like, how did he tell you? It's like, yeah, like I learned from non-religious people in my audience. Some people thought that religious communities, when they said they talk to God, thought it was literally like they hear him. But when most people in religious communities say I talk to God, they mean they just talk to their own thoughts. They feel inspired by him. You know how artists are like, I was inspired by the mountain. I was inspired by the word of God today. They were inspired by themselves. It's them. Like they put a name to it. I think people put a name to things. In some ways, we're so egotistical, but we don't want to give ourselves credit. So we give it credit to God. Who am I to give myself credit when I could give it to God? God inspired me. I don't know, girl. I don't know what that means, But if you mean like in a feely-woolly, like woo-woo way, I feel you. Like in a metaphysical way, in a feelings way, I think all those words can be like very magical. Like I like people were mad at me in the comment sections once. Is they were like, oh, Brittany doesn't believe in religion, but she believes in tarot. I never said I believed in tarot, right? I just said I liked it, which is different. Like so different. Like I like it as a categorization system, not as something literal, but I think humans are so good at categorizing that basically tarot's like, I told my partner, look, if I took the Big Five test, right? Sometimes I see people argue about Myers-Briggs versus the Big Five, and they'll say, no, Myers-Briggs is pseudoscience, do the Big Five. Okay, I've done all three tarot readings, Big Five, and Myers-Briggs, and they all give me similar results. Why? Because I am the narrator giving them input, except tarot. Look, every time I see a thing about a Taurus, I'm like, that's me, bitch. To a T, you're welcome. To a T, that's me, baby. Every day, every day, every day. When I get my Myers-Briggs answers, I'm like, that's me, baby. That's me. When I get my Big Five results, I'm like, that's me. That's me. I feel seen. So regardless of what test I use, obviously we're recognizing a pattern. And I fit into that category of person in that pattern. I don't think I'm so unique that I don't fit into a pattern. But I do think I'm so unique that you can't replace me. But I am like so many other people, right? So whether it's tarot or the Big Five, it's just a pattern. It just recognizes a pattern. And it's like people want to think they're so unique, they can't be like a test can't know them. You're not that unique. I'm so sorry. I think that's the first part. You're not that unique, but you are so unique. Just like the way humans look at ants and think like, what's so unique about ants? They're all the same, squish. Yeah, that's how the universe would see us if it could squish us. You know what I mean? Like they would feel the same way about us, but we know that we're all individuals, even though we all look like we're not, right? We are. And we're unique, but we're not that unique, girl. You know, I feel like both of those things have to be true at the same time. Or at least that's my, theory right now. Kat says I have to fight. I have this fight with my Myers-Briggs and with my best friend all the time, but he's okay with tarot and astrology. Make it make sense. I just think all of it is fun, but when people put too much emphasis on it, they decide it's the one answer or not. That's the problem. How are you going to take Myers-Briggs and decide to base your whole life on it? Like those, remember Love is Blind? I don't remember his name, the jewelry guy or the art guy or something. He was like, oh my God, we're both ENTJs. And I'm like your whole personality being tarot, your whole personality being religious, your whole personality being vegan, your whole personality being one thing. Girl, let's meditate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different if you're a brand. Like, I get it. You're a brand, but you're not a brand. You're a person. But then that's how people feel like they know where they belong. Their whole thing is being Muslim. Their whole thing's being Catholic. Their whole thing's being vegan. You do you. I prefer to I like it all. I think all of it's interesting. No? All right, we're coming to that point, guys. Last minute thoughts, ideas, concepts. This has been fabulous. Let's keep in mind the Discord does have an event for the Discord 101 March 30th at 7 p.m. my time, which should be 1 p.m. Eastern, which should be 11 a.m. PST. Come join us. We can have this conversation then. So we'll have to sit on it for about a month because we have to go through book club first. Yoga's coming up. We have a lot of things coming up. Smash event for Nintendo Switch, April 6th at 8 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I think that should be right. Discord will switch the times for your time zone. So just join the Discord, 18 plus. No children allowed. Thank you. 18 plus, come join Patreon. Smash event, April 6th. Come join us, support the content. It'd be great. Discord says, I wish I didn't have to work right now. Most stimulating stream in a while. I do love these topics, girls. And by the way, thank you for watching me while you're at work. That's such an honor. I love that fucking energy right there, bro. So that's some good energy right there. And I will come back. I think what our focus, now that we've done Ethan and Trisha for so long, and I'm so done with these topics, we'll have the podcast and the discussion days on Tuesdays. Open forum discussion days on Tuesdays, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, gossipy topics and stuff like that are fun and videos to react to. But start mentally preparing for Tuesdays to be discussion days like this. So come with your questions, open topics, and I think they'll be fun. You know what I mean? I think they'll be I think that'll be a good way to do it. Chet says, are we going to do a review? Are we going to review another series again? No. I got burnt out. It was great. Maybe if there's a shorter series in the future, but for now, let's focus on trending topics, different subjects. And then, if we probably won't do another one if we do one for a bit, but I'm open to it, especially if it's on YouTube. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll see you Tuesday. Is it Friday? Yeah, it's Friday. I'll see you tomorrow for the Discord. No, I'm lying to you. I'm very lying to you. I'll see you Sunday for the Discord, March 2nd. I'm glad my mom died. And I will see you Tuesday for open discussion, Monday for stream, or Monday for Discord. What? Monday for podcast. I'm running out of spoons. Can you tell? I'm getting hungry. I'm mumbling all my words. Kat says, are you going to cover the Blake Lively Boldoni mess? I'm waiting. I think we don't have enough information. I don't think we have enough information yet. I'm waiting. I don't want to do Johnny Depp Amber Heard all over again. So I'm waiting. I don't think we have enough information. No. Yeah. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.